Chapter 668. Ooh, it's Wang Hai's cousin. I heard that he has the information about the deal between Wang Hai and He Ju. He was present several times when Wang Hai and He Ju made the deal. When Wang Hai died, he thought that I killed him, so he came to me. That's how I found out about it. Where is he? He's outside. Ask him to come in. Di Lingwe made a call. Not long after, Wang Hai's cousin came in with the information in his hands. It was the information about the deal that Di Lingwe was talking about. Wang Xin handed the information in his hand directly to Yu Songhuan. Yu Songhuan's face turned ashen when he saw the contents of the document. His hands were trembling. It's hard to guard against a thief in the house. Ask He Ju to come here. I want to see how he's going to explain it to me. Yu Songhuan was furious. Aunt Wang turned around and called He Ju. Di Lingwe sneered in his heart. Di Haoyan had forged the information about him, framing Di Haoyan in order to get evidence against him. Now, he was just giving Di Haoyan a taste of his own medicine. He still had to thank Di Haoyan for teaching him the method back then. Not long after, He Ju appeared in the bungalow. He was stunned when he saw Di Lingwe inside. He had been looking for him everywhere. He didn't expect to see him in the bungalow. He Ju's face turned sharp. He took out his gun and pointed it at Di Lingwe. What are you doing? Are you going to kill me? Di Lingwe was scared and ran toward Yu Songhuan. Sister-in-law, not only did he kill Wang Hai, but he also wants to kill me. Yu Songhuan's face changed. He Ju, stop it. He Ju looked at Yu Songhuan coldly. Old madam, it's him. He caused young master's whereabouts to be unknown. I can't let him off. Is it really him? Yu Songhuan threw the information out. Take a look at this and explain to me. He Ju took it. He was very suspicious of what was written in the information. He looked coldly at Di Lingwe. He knew that he wouldn't be able to escape now. He put away his gun and opened the file. When he saw the contents, he was stunned. He knew that this was fake. This was a setup. So this was the reason why Di Lingwe had the guts to appear here. He Ju explained, Old madam, this information can't be trusted. Untrustworthy? I didn't know that Haoyan had an ingrate like you by his side. If it weren't for your help, with Haoyan's capabilities, how could he keep getting into trouble? Even if you really didn't do it, did you do your job well? Yu Songhuan questioned sternly. It's my fault that something happened to the young master. You think you can absolve yourself of your sins just by saying that you failed in your duty? What kind of place do you think the Di family is? Yu Songhuan shouted angrily. He Ju looked straight at Yu Songhuan and said, Old madam, I'm willing to be punished. But before I'm punished, let me kill Di Lingwe. He was the one who kidnapped the young madam and lured the young master onto the plane. Now that the young master and young madam are missing, it's all his fault. If I don't kill him, there will be endless trouble in the future. Di Lingwe immediately pointed at He Ju. Of course you have to kill me quickly. If you kill me, no one will know what you did. You're trying to defend yourself. Sister-in-law, this person is very scary. His ambition isn't small. Wang Xin, tell me yourself. Is this person the one who made the deal with Wang Hai? Wang Xin also hid to the side, but his words were still very clear. It's him. Wang Hai made the deal with him every time. At that time, he even said that if he got any benefits, he would share some with me. Of course, I agreed. Nonsense. Even if there wasn't the young master, how could I control T? At the end of the day, the one with the most motive is you, second master. He Ju said coldly. How could I have a motive? If I really had a motive, I wouldn't have waited until now, right? I'm already so old. You're already trying to frame me with such a crime. You have ulterior motives. Besides, Haoyan is my biological nephew. Why would I harm my biological nephew? And you, after all, are an outsider. You've been with Haoyan for so long. You must be envious and have some evil thoughts. For example, when Haoyan's car fell off the cliff, would Wang Hai know if you didn't give him the roadmap? Do you think that I could do anything to Haoyan just because I hit him head-on? You're underestimating Haoyan too much. The only thing is that he was schemed against by the people around him. Di Lingwe poured all the dirty water on He Ju. After all, he was an old fox. He still had some tricks up his sleeve. Did you harm a young master just once or twice? Do you have evidence? Do you think I harmed Haoyan just because you said so? If you didn't collude with Wang Hai, Would Hao Ian's car have fallen off the cliff? I thought I was the one who caused it. I was so scared that I couldn't recover for a long time. He Ju turned to look at Yu Songwan. Old madam, how could I collude with Wang Hai? I've been by the young master's side for so long. I've been loyal. I've never thought of betraying the young master. I only see the evidence in front of me. I don't believe anything else. You could do anything, but Hao Ian's life and death are unknown. You're already worthy of being cut into pieces. Yu Songwan thought that Di Hao Ian might be. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. Sister-in-law, let me handle this matter. You're not in a good condition now. You should go and rest. Di Lingwe said. Go. I don't want to see him again. Yu Songhuan waved his hand. He didn't want to look at Hiju anymore. Di Lingwe turned around and walked towards Hiju. He sneered. Hiju, did you hear that? Do you want to come with me? Hiju wouldn't go with him. If he fell into Di Lingwe's hands, he could imagine what would happen to him. Looking at Hiju's expression, he knew that he wouldn't listen to him. He went closer and whispered, Do you want to know where Wang Malay is? Hiju's expression changed. He glared at Di Lingwe coldly. Don't look at me like that. You'll know when you get there. Di Lingwe smiled evilly. When they reached the place, Hiju saw Wang Malay who was tied up in the corner. Someone was watching her, and a gun was pointed at Wang Malay's head. Hiju. Wang Malay looked at Hiju and Di Lingwe in shock. On her way to work, she was drugged and knocked out. When she woke up, she found herself here, tied up. She thought that she was being robbed. She even wondered if it was her money or her body. She didn't expect to see someone familiar. Are you okay? Hiju asked. Why are you here? Were you guys? Wang Malay looked at Di Lingwe in confusion. Hiju wanted to walk forward, but was stopped by the person holding the gun. You better not move. If the gun goes off accidentally, don't blame me. What do you want? Hiju glared at Di Lingwe coldly and angrily. Chapter 669. He signaled with his eyes, and the people behind him kicked Hiju's leg. Hiju didn't notice and knelt on the ground with one knee. Hiju! Wang Malay screamed. Hiju's face was stern, but he didn't say a word. He didn't stand up either. If he stood up, the gun on Wang Malay's head would be too dangerous. He didn't expect that Wang Malay would be captured by them. Di Lingwe wasn't satisfied. He picked up a stick and smashed Hiju's head. Hiju groaned and fainted on the ground. Blood flowed out of his head. Wang Malay screamed, Hiju. He struggled to stand up and rush forward, but he was restrained by the man with the gun. Behave yourself, or I'll take his life. When Hiju woke up, he was tied to a pillar. One of Di Lingwe's men walked back and forth in front of him with a whip in his hand. Hiju! Hiju, wake up! Wang Malay's voice was heard. Hiju raised his eyes and looked over. Wang Malay's anxious and sorrowful face fell into his eyes. Hiju, are you awake? Hiju! I'm fine, Hiju said. What's going on? Wang Malay turned to Di Lingwe. Let go of Hiju quickly. If young Master Di finds out, you'll be dead. Di Hao Ian, I'm afraid you won't have a chance. What do you mean? Wang Malay didn't understand. You probably don't know. Di Hao Ian and Tang Bao were killed by a bomb. Di Lingwe said happily. What did you say? Wang Malay was stunned and looked at Hiju. Is what he said true? Young Master Di and Tang Bao. How could they be like what he said? Hiju, why aren't you saying anything? Hiju's silence made Wang Malay extremely anxious. She did not want to admit that Tang Bao was dead. That guy is so lucky. How could he? Besides, she's with Di Hao Ian, and Di Hao Ian loves her so much. How could he bear to let her die? Hiju did not answer her question, but said to Di Lingwe, Let her go. I will stay here. It's so touching. However, her original purpose was to act as bait. Since we have achieved our goal, we naturally don't need her anymore. Di Lingwe glanced at his subordinate. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The men immediately understood. They untied Wang Malay and took her out. Wang Malay had struggled to run out at first, but now he didn't want to leave. I'm not leaving. Hiju, if we're leaving together. You can't stay here. They won't let you go. Wang Malay said anxiously. Di Lingwe could even lay his hands on his own nephew, let alone Hiju. Di Lingwe hated Di Hao Ian to the core, and he wanted the people around Di Hao Ian to disappear. Hiju did not say anything. He just looked at her calmly and watched her cry. Hiju, say something. I don't want to leave. Wan Malay said to Di Lingwe. Didn't you capture me? I'm right here. I'm not leaving. Okay. My target is not you, Di Lingwe said calmly. Wan Malay was still dragged out. However, when they were outside, they did not let go of Wan Malay. Instead, they pushed her deep into the alley. Wan Malay was held hostage by them, but she felt uneasy. The problem was, would Di Lingwe really let her go? Di Lingwe was such a sinister person. He wanted to kill all the people around Di Haoyan, including those who were close to Tang Bao. So, how could he let her go so easily? After a few steps, Wan Malay saw the white lime on the wall in front of her. Oh, my shoelaces are loose. Wan Malay lowered her head and quickly squatted down to pretend to tie her shoelaces. Before she stood up, she grabbed a handful of lime on the ground. Then, she stood up and continued to walk forward. The man behind her let go of Wan Malay and walked behind her. He slowly took out his gun and was ready to shoot at Wan Malay. But the gun was not fully taken out. Wan Malay suddenly turned around and threw the lime in her hand at the man's face. The lime entered her eyes. It was more painful than chilly water. She could not open her eyes, otherwise she would go blind. Wan Malay saw this and turned to run. She wanted to run back to where Hiju was locked up. But just as she thought of this, she stopped. Even if she rushed in front of Di Lingwe, would she be able to save Hiju with her own strength? Definitely not. So, if she wanted to save Hiju, she had to find someone to help her. Then who should she find? Di Haoyan. Was it really like what Di Lingwe said? Was he really killed with Tang Bao? How could it be? Wan Malay did not want to believe it. Maybe Di Lingwe was talking nonsense, and Hiju did not say anything because he had his own difficulties. She could not panic now. She should find someone to help her. Who could she find? Where could she find them? And she had to be fast. If she delayed for too long, wouldn't Hiju be in danger? Wan Malay thought of one person, Gu Linshan. She did not have Gu Linshan's number, but she had Luo Luoli's number. Luo Luoli had just returned to the mansion from school when her phone rang. She saw that it was Wan Malay calling. She was delighted. Could it be that the Tang Bao had been found? She hurriedly answered, Malay, have you found the Tang Bao? Not yet. However, there's something I need your help with. Luo Luoli heard Wan Malay's anxious and trembling voice and became serious. Go ahead. Can you ask young Master Gu to come and save Hiju? Hiju has been captured by Di Lingwe and is in danger now. Where is the address? I will ask my youngest uncle to go over now. After getting the address, Luo Luoli rushed to the living room and grabbed the butler, asking, Where's my youngest uncle? In the room upstairs. Luo Luoli rushed upstairs to Gu Linshan's room. When she reached the door, she rushed in without knocking. After she rushed in, she did not see Gu Linshan but heard the sound of water in the bathroom. Luo Luoli was so anxious that she did not care about anything else. She pushed the door open and rushed in. Youngest uncle. Luo Luoli's voice was suddenly stuck in her throat. She saw Gu Linshan in the bathroom. Luo Luoli almost stopped breathing. Her eyes were wide open and her face was red. Gu Linshan slowly turned his face and looked at her through the humidity and heat in the air. His dark eyes were deep and had a hint of subtle meaning. Luo Luoli exclaimed and quickly stepped back and closed the door. She stood stiffly at the door, her heart pounding like a little deer, thumping nonstop. She was really... Why did she open the door and rush in without knocking? Was she brainless? Luo Luoli hit her own pig head with her hand. At this moment, the bathroom door behind her opened. Luo Luoli's nerves jumped, and she immediately took a few steps back. Chapter 670. Even though he was wearing an abstinence-style bathrobe, he was still wearing a bathrobe. There was nothing out of place about him. Luo Luoli thought that she didn't feel anything when she saw Gu Linshan in the past. Why was she so flustered now? It must be because Gu Linshan's gaze was too dangerous. It was as if he wanted to do something to her. Hence, she was just scared out of her wits. What are you doing? Gu Linshan asked faintly. This little girl, he didn't look for her, but she kept bumping into him. Did she really think that he wouldn't touch her? Of course I'm not looking at you bathing. What's so nice about you bathing? Ever since the layer of black and yellow on Luo Lolly's face was removed, as long as it was slightly red, it could be seen clearly. That was the case at this moment. Luo Lolly thought about why she was looking for Gu Linshin and hurriedly said, I'm looking for you for something important. Little uncle, hurry up and come with me to save someone. Save who? He Ju. Wan Malay called me and said that He Ju has been captured by Di Lingwei. Little uncle, it's a matter of life and death. Gu Linshin frowned. He Ju could be captured by Di Lingwei? Little uncle, don't dawdle. Hurry up and go. Luo Luoli rushed forward and grabbed Gu Linshin's arm. His arm was strong, but Luo Luoli couldn't care less. If something happened to He Ju, wouldn't Wan Malay be heartbroken? Little uncle, don't tell me you don't want to save He Ju. He's the young master's right-hand man. You can't leave him alone, little uncle. Gu Linshin's cold eyes landed on Luo Luoli's chattering face. He then pulled her towards him. Luo Luoli directly bumped into Gu Linshin. The sudden movement startled the lowly. She immediately wanted to retreat, but she was held in place by Gu Linshin's arm. She couldn't move. Blushing, she cautiously looked into his deep and unreadable eyes. Her little heart was beating so fast that it was about to jump out of her throat. You want me to save him? Gu Linshin asked hoarsely. Luo Luoli replied softly. If you want me to save someone, you should at least give me some interest. Before Luo Luoli could say anything, Gu Linshin's face loomed over her. Luo Luoli's breathing quickened. She was so nervous that she didn't know where to put her hands. What was going on? Wasn't He Ju closer to Gu Linshin? Why was she begging Gu Linshin now? In the torture room, He Ju's body was stained with blood. His clothes were dark, but it was still wet. The smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. No one would think that it was water. Di Lingwei was holding the leather whip that his subordinate had given him. Looking at He Ju, who had been whipped until he was covered in blood, he felt refreshed. This whip is really good. There are small and sharp blades on all sides. When it hits my body, it feels like I'm being cut by a knife. Doesn't it feel good? He Ju didn't say anything. He just looked at him with cold eyes. I didn't kill you so quickly because I wanted to see you being tortured slowly. Without Di Hao Ian, you will only end up dead. I can only say that you chose the wrong master. If you follow me in the past, you would have a meteoric rise in the future. I think you will die 1,000 times more miserably than me, He Ju said expressionlessly. You are still so stubborn even when you are about to die. You are indeed Di Hao Ian's follower. You don't even say anything nice. Then you will suffer. Di Lingwei ordered his subordinate. Break his legs, starting from his left leg. I want to see how long he can last. He held a baseball bat in his hand. It was made of iron. If he hit it, his bones would definitely break. The subordinate held the baseball bat tightly. He stood at He Ju's left leg and prepared to break it. He wanted to let him experience the pain of broken bones and tendons. He Ju closed his eyes. If his legs were broken, even if he was alive, he wouldn't be able to stay by Di Hao Ian's side, because he didn't have the right. The subordinate held the baseball bat tightly and raised it. He hit He Ju's knee with force. The door opened unexpectedly. It seems that I came at the wrong time. Gu Linshin's tall figure appeared in the room. The whole room was filled with a terrifying and eerie aura that belonged to Gu Linshin. At the same time, the baseball bat flew out of his hand. The subordinate was shocked. He loosened his grip and changed the direction of the bat. Di Lingwei was shocked. He looked at Gu Linshin in disbelief. What are you doing here? Gu Linshin wouldn't answer his question. With Gu Linshin around, Wan Malay could finally make a move. Wan Malay immediately ran forward to check He Ju. He Ju's clothes were wet. She touched it with her hand. Her hand was stained with blood. Her hands couldn't help but tremble as she looked at He Ju. They are all superficial wounds. Don't worry, He Ju said. Wan Malay looked at him. He was conscious and spoke with strength. He probably didn't have any vital injuries. Gu Linshin's bodyguards released He Ju. He Ju's body swayed. After all, his body was cut open by knives. He couldn't get used to it. Wan Malay quickly went forward to support He Ju. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. Can you hold on? Take him to the hospital, Gu Linshin said coldly. Even if there were no vital injuries, he would die if the bleeding wasn't stopped. Wan Malay glanced at Gu Linchen and Luo Luoli. She knew that she wasn't needed here. She left the room under the escort of Gu Linchen's bodyguards. Malay, leave this to us. We will definitely avenge He Ju. Luo Luoli said to Wan Malay. She turned around and saw Gu Linchen looking at her coldly. She didn't understand. Little uncle, what's wrong? I'll stay and help you. Gu Linchen was speechless. Okay, I'll wait for you outside. Luo Luoli quickly ran away. Gu Linchen wouldn't let her off easily if she offended him. After Luo Luoli went out, the door of the room was closed. Luo Luoli looked at the bodyguards outside. Then, she looked at the closed door. She thought, little uncle is alone in there. Is he okay? Gu Linchen's arrogant behavior. Di Lingwei didn't dare to offend him. He became careful and cautious. Di Haoyan was the king of Di City. Gu Linchen wasn't someone to be trifled with either. The only son of the Gu family was a ruthless person. You don't have a good relationship with Di Haoyan. Why did you save He Ju? Di Lingwei obviously remembered that when Gu Linchen kidnapped the Tang Bao, Di Haoyan used armed weapons to rob the car. At that time, people thought that Di Haoyan and Gu Linchen were on the verge of exploding. Chapter 671. What do you want to do? Do you want to kill me? When Di Lingwei asked this question, he was already frightened. His subordinate's face turned pale too. He was with Di Lingwei. If Di Lingwei died, how could he live? The person who went to kill Wan Malay hadn't returned yet. They didn't know if he was dead or alive. But when they saw Wan Malay, they knew that he was probably dead. So they wanted to run now. After all, there was only one Gu Linchen in the room. It was an opportunity. So they turned and ran towards the door. They ran as fast as they could. Gu Linchen looked up with his dark eyes, full of viciousness. He hooked the baseball bat beside him with the tip of his foot and kicked it directly. It hit his kneecap. The sound of bones breaking could be heard in the air. The man screamed as he fell. Ah! The man fell to the ground. He hugged his knees and screamed. If you scream again, I'll make sure you can't scream again, Gu Linchen said. No matter how painful the man was, it was better than losing his life. So he clenched his teeth and didn't dare to scream again. He only screamed in pain. Luo Luoli, who was standing not far from the door, was shocked when she heard the screams. Could be Gu Linchen? After thinking about it, she was sure that it wasn't him. It didn't seem to be Di Lingyue's either. It seemed to be Di Lingyue's subordinate. Judging by how pitiful her voice was, she must have suffered some terrible abuse. But why was there no more sound now? Di Lingwei looked emotionlessly at his subordinate who was trembling in pain on the ground. There was only fear in his heart. Gu Linchen was too good, and the strength of the baseball bat. If it wasn't for the strength, how could he have broken the kneecap? Di Lingwei knew a little about Gu Linchen. In the past, he was in a chaotic place like the Middle East. If he could have his own power in that place, he must be very powerful. He even had a nickname, the Wolf of the Middle East. Don't worry, you didn't offend me, so of course I won't kill you. Gu Linchen's cold eyes didn't reveal much emotion, and even his tone was very indifferent. Di Lingwei seemed to doubt Gu Linchen's words. Gu Linchen had already rescued He Ju when he came here. Why would he stay? Didn't he want to kill him? But I don't like people suspecting me. Di Lingwei's heart skipped a beat. It was as if his suspicions had become a sin. Sure enough, Gu Linchen was the kind of person who was unpredictable. So, from now on, you're not allowed to step out of your house. If I find out, I'll make sure you suffer a fate worse than death, Gu Linchen said before he turned and left. As soon as he walked out of the house, Luo Luoli, who had been waiting for a while, hurried forward and asked, Little uncle, did you teach Di Lingwei a lesson? Or take him to the police station and lock him up? No. Why not? Little uncle, aren't you going to do anything to him? This person doesn't look like a good person. He even wanted to kill someone. This kind of person should be taken to the police station. Gu Linchen looked at Luo Luoli's pretty face that was filled with righteous indignation. Such a pure soul. Perhaps she didn't know that he was scarier than Di Lingwei. But so what? It was normal for the strong to be the king. The police station is too kind. It's not suitable for him. Luo Loli stood there and thought. If the police station wasn't suitable for Di Lingwe, then Di Lingwe should get away scot-free. Also, if he wasn't locked up in the police station, should he be locked up in an unpardonable place? Why aren't you leaving? Gu Linshin's threatening voice sounded. Luo Luoli came back to her senses and followed him. When the car door closed and the car left, Luo Luoli saw Di Lingyue coming out of the house through the car window. Other than his pale face, he didn't seem to be hurt at all. In other words, the miserable cry just now was really just to deal with that subordinate. Little uncle, when did you become so kind-hearted? You let Di Lingyue off so easily. Didn't you see how badly his Jew was beaten up just now? Luo Luoli was very dissatisfied with this result. No matter what, she had to teach Di Lingyue a lesson. What does it have to do with you how badly he was beaten up? Gu Linshin's gaze started to become unfriendly. Luo Luoli felt that the gaze on her face was like nails pricking her skin. She couldn't help but feel a little uncertain and guilty. She didn't say anything wrong, right? Indeed, it has nothing to do with me. But I'm friends with Malay. I'm helping Malay vent her anger. Luo Luoli was speaking the truth. Hiju didn't interact much with her. It was always Tang Bao and Wan Malay who hung out with her. Gu Linshin leaned against the back of the chair lazily. The black suit on him almost blended in with the black seat, but his aura was not to be underestimated. His deep and pleasant voice sounded arrogant. You just need to focus on me. Loli thought to herself, how could she let him go? He forced her to live in a luxurious mansion every day. Wasn't he satisfied? Luo Luoli thought of something and said, Little uncle, I want to see Malay. No. Luo Luoli knew too well that Gu Linshin was unreasonable, so she had to ask, Hiju will be fine, right? If something happens, Malay will be sad to death. He won't die. Luo Luoli cursed in her heart. He really didn't have any humanity. Was it so difficult to take a detour in the car? She was so angry. Gu Linshin looked at Luo Luoli's sullen face and stared at her for a while before he asked calmly, What do you think I'm good at? What do you have? Luo Luoli blurted out instinctively. Gu Linshin was speechless. After Luo Luoli said it out loud, she wanted to slap her own mouth. How could she be so careless as to say what was on her mind? She quickly corrected herself. What I mean is you have a lot of good qualities. Gu Linshin's face was calm. He didn't care about her mistake and continued, Tell me. For example, you're good-looking, tall, rich, and strong. Luo Luoli thought that after saying so much, she should be able to get away with it. How do you know that I am strong? Gu Linshin looked at her with his dark eyes. That. I can usually feel it when you grab me. What was there to ask? Why did she feel that Gu Linshin's questions could make the air uncomfortable? It must be because Gu Linshin's gaze was too evil. Yes, it was evil. So you think you have a good physique? Then what is considered a good physique? Luo Luoli asked like a curious student. You'll find out in the future. For some reason, Luo Luoli felt that she didn't want to know it all. The panic in her heart was definitely not something she wanted to experience. Chapter 672. Fortunately, Wamalei was outside the infirmary. Otherwise, he would have been scared to tears. Just as Hiju had said, it was only a superficial wound. However, his superficial wound was also very serious. Some of the wounds had been stitched up and had not been treated for a long time. The door opened, and Hiju walked out. The doctor began to remind them of some things to take note of. The doctor said, stay in the hospital for 2 days and the wound will almost completely heal. After 2 days, don't use too much strength. Be careful of the wound opening. The nurse in the ward will take you there. Hearing the doctor's instructions, Wan Malay immediately replied, Okay, we will be careful. Thank you, doctor. After entering the ward, Hiju lay down. Wan Malay looked at Hiju's face and asked, Does it hurt a lot? Do I look like I'm in pain? Hiju's expression did not show any signs of pain. However, Wan Malay was not stupid enough to think that it did not hurt. This was all whipped. How can it not hurt? There was so much blood. You're just used to pain. That's why you don't feel pain. Hee-ju looked at Wan Malay's uncomfortable expression. This feeling was very strange, but it was like a warm current flowing into his body and heart. Even Di Hao Ian did not care about him so much. If there was really an injury, men would not be calculative. Hee-ju looked at her and said, "It hurt at first, but it doesn't hurt now." "Why? Your words and your gaze are all anesthetics." Wan Malay realized what he was saying and blushed. "I always thought that you were cold, like a cold-blooded animal. I didn't expect you to say such sweet words. It varies from person to person. Is there someone else?" Wan Malay asked pettily. "Do you think there is someone who likes me?" Wan Malay thought that this was the first time he had seen someone who belittled himself like this. Hee-ju wasn't bad-looking and was worthy of the word handsome, but he was a little cold. As soon as Wan Malay came into contact with this person, he felt that he was an ice cube, the kind of ice cube that would never melt. She hadn't forgotten how Hee-ju had left her on the road in the middle of the night. She had hated him for a long time. However, she had never thought that she would have such a fate with Hee-ju. Wan Malay glanced at Hee-ju and knew that he must have wanted to hear his answer. However, Wan Malay had no experience in this area. He wasn't that thick-skinned. Usually, she only liked to talk big. "Come here." "What? What do you feel uncomfortable?" Wan Malay thought that Hee-ju was not feeling well or needed her help. After all, he was a patient. However, just as she approached the bed, Hee-ju grabbed her hand and pulled it down slightly. Wan Malay's upper body suddenly lowered. The two faces were very close to each other. Wan Malay held her breath and looked into Hee-ju's eyes in panic. Her heart almost stopped, and her face suddenly turned red. "There's another way to make my wound not hurt." What? Before Wan Malay could finish her sentence, she felt a soft touch on her lips. This time, her heart really stopped. After a while, Hee-ju moved away slightly. Looking at her awkward appearance, his voice was a little hoarse. "Don't you know that you need to breathe?" Wan Malay felt humiliated and said with a red face, "I've never done this with a man before. How would I know?" Seeing a pig run and eating pork were two completely different things. After saying that, she wanted to slip away, but her hand was still in Hee-ju's palm. She was pulled over again. This time, Hee-ju directly attacked. Wan Malay wanted to struggle, but when she thought of the wounds on Hee-ju's body, she didn't move. She really didn't resist because of Hee-ju's injuries, and it wasn't because being intimate with Hee-ju was beautiful. When Wan Malay brought lunch to Hee-ju, he was on the phone. She didn't know what the other party said, but he hung up not long after. Wan Malay placed the lunch on the table and looked at Hee-ju silently. "Ask whatever you want to ask. I know that Di Lingyue is lying. How could that kind of thing happen? I only heard that the young master went missing." "What happened? Can you tell me?" Wan Malay asked. "The young master didn't go missing. He's fine. He's in the hospital and is temporarily unconscious." Wan Malay thought so too. How could something happen to someone like Di Hao Ian so easily? At that time, when the car fell off the cliff, he just lost his memory. He was still fine. "What about Tang Bao? Are they together?" "Tang Bao is missing." "What do you mean? Are you referring to the fact that the young master has been looking for her, but couldn't find her?" "The young master found her, but she went missing again." Hee-ju didn't want to tell her the truth. He felt that Wan Malay wouldn't be able to take it. However, before the matter was confirmed, he didn't want to think in a bad direction. "Has the child been born?" "Where's the child?" "She took it away." Hee-ju's eyes flashed with darkness. "The child. She called just now to find the child." However, there was no news at all, especially when Di Hao Ian was about to wake up. When the time came, what should they do with such a mess? Could it be that in order to avoid the young master, she simply took the child and ran far away? Wan Malay guessed. She knew very well how badly the Tang Bao was hurt by Di Hao Ian, who had lost his memory. Either she was disheartened and turned to leave. Otherwise, there was no other reason for the Tang Bao to leave. Probably. Then, is she still looking for the Tang Bao until she finds him? When Wan Malay was having lunch with Hee-ju, she was still thinking that the Tang Bao didn't even want to contact her after leaving for so long, right? Why didn't he contact her? Wasn't he afraid that she would be worried? Di Hao Ian wouldn't find out if he made a phone call. right? Moreover, Di Hao Ian was in a coma now. Ju still couldn't find him. Where was the Tang Bao hiding? He didn't even want to come back after giving birth. Ju's injuries had already healed, but Di Hao Ian still hadn't woken up. It was as if there was no change at all from the first day of the hospital. The director had to come over a few times a day. However, he couldn't see what was wrong. It made the director feel uneasy every day, and the atmosphere in the entire hospital was heavy. This situation was relatively abnormal, because people who were born, grew old, fell sick, and died in the hospital. There was no such thing as a heavy atmosphere. Therefore, the only thing that could affect the hospital was Di Hao Ian, who was lying on the bed with his eyes closed. Gu Linshin's tall figure walked into the ward. He looked at Di Hao Ian, who was sleeping motionlessly on the bed. The director immediately rushed over from behind. It was as if he would lose his life if he was a second slower. Chapter 673. I've heard you say that countless times. I'll give you 3 more days. If he doesn't wake up by then, you'll be fired. Gu Linshin's sharp eyes were not looking at the hospital director. He was looking straight ahead. The hospital director was already scared out of his wits. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. He did not know what was going on. Why was Di Hao Ian not waking up? There was nothing wrong with his body. Even the broken bones in his arm had healed, but there were no signs of him waking up. Although he felt wronged, the hospital director forced himself to agree. Yes, at this moment, there was movement on the bed. Finally, there was movement. Di Hao Ian's black eyes gradually opened. After being stunned for a moment, he immediately sat up in bed. He was anxious and flustered. He looked at Ju. Where's the Tang Bao? Ju was stunned. He did not know what to say. In fact, everyone except the hospital director knew. Di Hao Ian knew where the Tang Bao was. Ju did not dare to say it, but Gu Linshin did. He glanced at the hospital director. The hospital director immediately left the ward. His mission was to wake Di Hao Ian up. Now that he was awake and his position was safe, he would not cause any more trouble. Gu Linshin said, "Don't you know where the Tang Bao is?" The plane crashed on the beach at the harbor. There was only you and the pilot. Did you lose your memory again? Where's the Tang Bao? Di Hao Ian did not say anything. He lifted the blanket and got out of bed. Gu Linshin frowned. What are you doing? I'm going to look for her. Di Hao Ian narrowed his eyes. No one could tell what he was thinking. I sent people to search the harbor, but they couldn't find her, Gu Linshin said. Seeing that Di Hao Ian was still walking out of the ward, Gu Linshin grabbed his arm. Di Hao Ian's head was slightly lowered, and his long eyelashes were closed. Nothing could be seen, only a dark shadow. I don't want to fight with you. Let go. I told you she's not there. If Gu Linshin didn't stop him now, something bad would happen. There was something wrong with Di Hao Ian at the moment. Di Hao Ian did not say a word and immediately pulled his hand back, but Gu Linshin did not let go. I told you to let go. Di Hao Ian's voice was cold. Calm down first. Then one wanted to leave, while the other refused to let him go. The two of them started fighting in the ward. Ju couldn't help. If he were to help, wouldn't he be helping Di Hao Ian leave the hospital? When the two of them fought, their movements and destructive power were very violent and frightening. Not to mention that Di Hao Ian had really lost his mind. But Gu Linshin was not someone to be trifled with either. Just as Gu Linshin grabbed Di Hao Ian's hand and refused to let go, Di Hao Ian suddenly stopped fighting and stopped moving. Gu Linshin felt a drop of hot water on his exposed arm, followed by a second drop. He was stunned. But he still couldn't see Di Hao Ian's expression, whose head was lowered. However, he didn't need to look to know what kind of pain it was. How many years had Gu Linshin known Di Hao Ian? He wished that they had known each other when they were young. When had he ever seen Di Hao Ian cry? Never. He remembered that when he was young, he had attended a business banquet. Di Hao Ian had gone with Old Master Di, and he had also gone with Old Master Gu. For some reason, the background of the banquet fell down and hit Di Hao Ian, who was still a young man. At that time, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and spat out blood. However, Di Hao Ian did not shed a single tear from beginning to end. He only frowned. Also, Di Hao Ian did not lose control even after Di Mingnan's death. At most, he was sad, but he was more rational. But now, let me go find her. Di Hao Ian's hoarse voice sounded as if his throat was injured. Have you regained your memory? Gu Linshan asked. He Ju was stunned and looked at Di Hao Ian. Di Hao Ian did not say anything. He withdrew his hand and turned to leave the ward. Gu Linshan did not stop him. He Ju did not say anything and followed him. Gu Linshan stood in the ward for a while and followed him. It seemed that a storm was coming. After so many days, the harbor had already calmed down. However, when people talked about it again, it was just a sigh. However, the people nearby did not understand why the ship was still docked at the harbor and why the people on the ship were fishing for something in the water. Di Hao Ian stood on the beach and looked into the distance. His dark eyes were even more scarlet than when he was on the plane. He just looked into the distance. I've been looking for her since the day you fainted, but I haven't seen a trace of her. I think she's definitely not here. Tang Bao's life is under your protection. Nothing will happen to her. Maybe she has escaped death. Gu Linshan's words were completely comforting. He also did not want the Tang Bao to really die like this. However, if Tang Bao really jumped down with a bomb, then it was normal that she could not be found in the harbor. Logically speaking, she would have been blown to pieces by the explosion. There's no need to look. Di Hao Ian's voice was calm and monotonous, like a cold and lifeless machine. Gu Linshan was stunned. Before he understood what he meant, Di Hao Ian said again, Didn't you say that you wanted to build property in the harbor? Then let's drain the harbor. Are you serious? Gu Linshan was shocked by Di Hao Ian's madness. Draining the harbor. Di Hao Ian was probably the first person in history to do so. Unfortunately, Di Hao Ian was telling the truth. Most importantly, with Di Hao Ian's power, the government's agreement was quickly approved. There was not even a trace of hesitation. In other words, if Di Hao Ian wanted to destroy the entire D city, no one would dare to resist, because resistance was useless. The harbor's water began to be pumped out. Di Hao Ian stood at the edge of the harbor and watched. He did not move or leave. The only person who could say a few words was Gu Linshan. He Ju, as a subordinate, wanted to say something, but he did not have much weight. It won't be drained in a short time. Go back and sleep first, Gu Linshan said. The harbor would not be drained in a month. He Ju, send more men. 10 days. Di Hao Ian gave a deadline. He Ju looked at Gu Linshan. Young Master Gu, let me borrow your men for a while. He's going crazy. Are you going to kick up a fuss? Gu Linshan's face darkened. He Ju did not want to, but after looking at Di Hao Ian, he looked at Gu Linshan. His meaning was clear. He had to do it. That's enough. Gu Linshan picked up his phone and ordered everyone to pump the harbor's water. He wanted to use all the large mercury that could be used in the D city. Gu Linshan also understood that if they did not do this, Di Hao Ian would not give up. But what if Di Hao Ian saw something he was not supposed to see when the water was being pumped out? Chapter 674. He woke up before the sun had even risen. The way the water was being pumped was really disturbing. But because the government had spoken, no one dared to complain. The door opened. He asked the bodyguard outside, "Where is young Master D sleeping?" Young Master D is not asleep yet. Gu Linshan frowned. Don't tell him that Di Hao Ian was still standing by the harbor. He walked over to take a look. From afar, he saw Di Hao Ian's tall figure standing there like a cold statue. It seemed that he had been standing there all night. Initially, he wondered if he should let Di Hao Ian go back to sleep, but seeing that it was almost dawn, he would have to wait until nighttime to let him sleep. However, when the time came, Di Hao Ian didn't even need anyone to wake him up. He would go to sleep when he couldn't take it anymore. He would go 2 days without sleep. And this time, Gu Linshan was wrong again. Di Hao Ian wasn't just anyone. When night came, he still didn't sleep. He stood at the harbor as if he wanted to stay there forever. Gu Linshan walked over. Even if you don't sleep, you still have to eat, right? Do you want to die? Even if you stand here and watch them pump the harbor dry, can you not eat or drink for 10 days? Scram! Di Hao Ian's hoarse voice reverberated through the air. Gu Linshan's face instantly darkened. The water in the harbor had obviously dropped. Di Hao Ian would definitely pump the harbor dry in a short period of time if he spared no effort in manpower and material resources. The air was filled with a humid smell. The moon was dim and the stars were sparse in the sky. It was as if a layer of gray film had shrouded everything, making everything look hazy. There was no beauty, only desolation. This kind of atmosphere made people feel a chill down their spines. The cool night breeze blew over and lifted a corner of his clothes, as if he was frightened. Di Hao Ian's black eyes looked into the distance, far, far away. What happened during the time he lost his memory was like 1,000 sharp blades piercing through his heart. What did he do? Because the last person he saw before he fainted was Lan Wanru. He remembered her. What about the Tang Bao? But time and time again, she had to endure the pain he had caused her. Di Hao Ian suspected that it was not him. He would never do something like that. He would not hurt the Tang Bao. Di Hao Ian's dark eyes gradually turned scarlet. Tears slid down his cheeks. The pain in his heart made the veins on his forehead bulge. It was so uncomfortable that he bent over and panted heavily. He saw this and immediately went over. However, someone was faster than him. Gu Linshen knocked Di Hao Ian unconscious. Young Master Gu? He was surprised. Do you have another way? He had no other choice. He was worried that Di Hao Ian would wake up sooner or later. If that happened, the consequences would be even worse. The moment Di Hao Ian woke up, he looked at Gu Linshen with a murderous gaze. The temperature in the room dropped by dozens of degrees. I'm doing this for your own good. Actually, I want to tell you something. Your 2 sons are missing. Di Hao Ian's eyes moved. He went to look for them, but he hasn't found them yet. If your body really collapses, what will happen to your 2 sons? Don't forget that Di Lingwei is still alive, Gu Linshen continued. I know how you feel now. You don't understand. Di Hao Ian only gave him these 3 words. He stood up and prepared to leave. Gu Linshen stopped him with an unyielding gaze. There's nothing I don't understand. Isn't it just because of a woman? You're making yourself half dead for a woman. Are you still Di Hao Ian? Di Hao Ian looked at him expressionlessly. How about this? Eat your food and do whatever you want. At least you can't ignore your 2 sons, right? Di Hao Ian looked at the food that was brought over. His gaze fell on it, but he was in a daze. Think about it. If Tang Bao knew that you treated her sons like this, wouldn't she hate you? Di Hao Ian's dark eyes were wet. Would she? If she would, why did she jump off the plane? Why did she bear to leave her children? Why did she leave him? How could she leave him? Without his permission, she could forget about it for the rest of her life. Gu Linshen was about to say something. Di Hao Ian turned and walked to the table. After sitting down, he began to eat without saying a word. There was no expression on his face. It was as if delicious food was dispensable in his eyes. Even if those dishes were colorless and tasteless, it didn't matter. Since the harbor had made such a big move, it would naturally be reported. However, what was reported was a legitimate commercial industry. It was just that Yu Songhuan and the others didn't know who made such a big move. After all, anyone with a brain in the business world knew that other than Di Hao Ian, no one else had the courage to do so. Yu Songhuan knew very well that it couldn't be Di Hao Ian. She had learned from Di Lingwei that Di Hao Ian and Tang Bao might be dead. She hadn't had a good rest at all. She used to take good care of herself, but now she seemed to have aged 10 years. When Annie Wong told Yu Songhuan that the harbor's water was going to be drained to make real estate, Yu Songhuan's expression was fleeting and sad. Other than Di Hao Ian, who else has this ability? I think it's the Gu family, Annie Wong said. The Gu family's power couldn't be underestimated. How did they think of draining the harbor's water to make real estate? Old madam, if young master and young madam really fell into the water in the harbor, then shut up. Yu Songhuan shouted coldly. Annie Wong immediately shut up. Di Hao Ian must be missing. I've read his fortune before. He's very lucky. He'll definitely be fine. Even if Di Lingwei said it logically, she wasn't willing to believe it. As long as there was no bad news, Di Hao Ian was still alive. Yu Songhuan relied on this belief to support himself every day. The news of the harbor's water being drained to form a commercial chain caused quite a stir in the business world. Zhou Jisen came out of the private room and was about to go to the washroom. She overheard the conversation between two CEOs of certain company who were here to have fun. Do you think there's going to be a change in D-City? I smell something out of the ordinary. That's right. I think that even if the harbor's water was drained to make real estate, it would only land in T's hands. How did it become the Gu family? But I heard that Gu Linshan's relationship with the king of D-City is quite good. There's nothing unusual about that, right? What do you know? Didn't you hear that T's young master went missing? Isn't it normal for the Gu family to want to pout at this time? The business world is like a battlefield. How can there be true friends? Yes, the Gu family has always been ambitious. Chapter 675. When he came out and was washing his hands, his phone rang. He wiped his hands clean and took out his phone to answer. Yu Yinlian asked, "Why did you take so long to answer the call? Were you doing something with the woman in the bar? Why didn't you say anything? Are you guilty?" "I was in the washroom." "You were in the washroom with another woman?" Yu Yinlian said aggrievedly and angrily. Zhou Jisen pinched his eyebrows speechlessly. The washroom has many uses. Of course, the main function is to relieve yourself. He didn't know why he had to explain it to her. "Hey, you're so disgusting." Yu Yinlian asked again, "When are you coming back?" "Now." "Okay, I made you a love supper." Zhou Jisen had a bad feeling. Yu Yinlian's cooking skills were definitely terrifying. When he got home, Yu Yinlian was wearing sexy pajamas, no, an apron. As he walked, he could see Yu Yinlian's graceful and enchanting figure at any time. "Don't look at me like that. It's as if you've never seen me before." Yu Yinlian smiled brightly and waved her hand to the side. "Look, this is the supper I made for you." Zhou Jisen looked over. It was actually a bowl of frozen dumplings. There was nothing technical about it. Therefore, it wasn't hard to swallow. Zhou Jisen sat down and ate. He drank some wine and didn't eat anything else. Yu Lianlian sat next to him. "I know my cooking skills aren't that good. Your stomach isn't good. I won't be insensible." Zhou Jisen looked at her. "Do you have something to ask me?" As expected of a lawyer. "You're so observant." Yu Lianlian admitted it directly and didn't forget to praise her man. "What do you think about the harbor?" "What do you mean?" "What do you mean? What's wrong with the Gu family? Didn't they cooperate with T? Can he swallow such a big harbor?" Yu Lianlian said. Zhou Jisen first ate all the dumplings in the bowl before looking at her and saying slowly, "How do you know that the young master isn't involved? There are no reports about T, and the young master is now a missing person. What's this? Do you know what the outside world is saying? The Gu clan wanted to replace the D clan. Did T not take any measures? Aren't you in charge of this?" On the surface, it looks like a business plan, but in reality, it's not. There's a bigger conspiracy. Looking for someone. Zhou Jisen saw that Yu Lianlian was in a daze, so he stood up and took the bowls and chopsticks to the kitchen. Yu Lianlian hurriedly followed and stood by the side. Watching Zhou Jisen wash the dishes, she asked, "Don't tell me that someone is looking for someone in the harbor? Are you joking with me? First, this person had to have the ability to do so. Second, who was the important person that needed to drain the water from the harbor? This was too exaggerated. Could it be that a politician fell into the harbor?" After saying that, Yu Lianlian was amused. Tang Bao. After Zhou Jisen said his name, Yu Lianlian couldn't laugh anymore. "What are you talking about?" Tang Bao. "Looking for the Tang Bao in the harbor? What's going on?" Yu Lianlian tugged at Zhou Jisen and asked. "The process is a little complicated. I just found out from He Ju that the Tang Bao jumped off the plane with a bomb and fell into the harbor. Didn't the news report about the explosion in the harbor? At that time, the young master was also on the plane. However, the young master didn't jump off the plane. Instead, he fell on the beach of the harbor with the water jet. Do you understand what's going on with the water being drained from the harbor? How could Yu Lianlian not know since it was so clear? But how could the Tang Bao, is the Tang Bao dead? I'm still waiting for her to give birth to the child and attend the wedding banquet." Yu Lianlian couldn't believe what she had heard. The child is also missing. But from the looks of it, the young master isn't in the mood to care about the child now. The Tang Bao is probably dead. Draining the harbor is probably a small matter. I don't know what will happen in the future. Also, the young master has regained his memory. Yu Yinlian felt her heartbeat accelerate in fear. If the Di Hao Ian hadn't regained his memory, he might still have some rationality. If he had regained his memory, what would happen? The only version she heard from Wan Malay was that Di Hao Ian, who hadn't lost his memory, doted on the Tang Bao to the bone. He even said that it was the love that women yearned for. At this time, Yu Yinlian would rather Wan Malay was just adding fuel to the fire and talking nonsense. She would rather Gu Linshan really went against the Di Hao Ian than hear such bad news. Moreover, Wan Malay seemed to be able to hand in his work truthfully recently, so he definitely didn't know about this. He might just think that the Tang Bao had gone missing. Yes, missing was always better than dead. Yu Yinlian chased after Zhou Jisen. Who did it? Di Lingwei. He's still alive and well. Yes, Di Lingwei is the young master's biological uncle. Even if he knows that he killed his wife, his true love, what can he do? After all, that's his family, his father's younger brother. Yu Yinlian said sadly and angrily. Zhou Jisen didn't say anything, but his eyes darkened slightly. Although Di Hao Ian ate every day, he soon realized that something was wrong. He didn't sleep. Later, Gu Linshan added some sleeping pills to his diet. Only then did Di Hao Ian fall asleep after eating. But if he didn't add them, he wouldn't sleep. He wouldn't sleep all day and all night. When he was outside the door, He Ju asked Gu Linshan, "Young Master Gu, do you have any clues about the child?" "No. I've used all my connections, but I still haven't found anything. This is like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's the same as looking for the Tang Bao in the harbor." In another 2 days, the harbor will be bottomed out. "I can only say that you should be mentally prepared," Gu Linshan said. He wasn't wrong in saying that. The only person who couldn't accept it was Di Hao Ian. He definitely didn't believe that the Tang Bao had sunk in the harbor. He wanted to tell Di Hao Ian that if the Tang Bao had really been blown up by a bomb, there wouldn't even be a speck of it left behind. However, at this time, Gu Linshan was also afraid of Di Hao Ian, so he didn't dare to say those words to provoke him. Not only could he not, but he also had to say something nice. If the Tang Bao couldn't be found in the harbor, then it meant that she had survived and ran somewhere else. He Ju wouldn't believe such words, but it was very useful to Di Hao Ian. There was no suspense. The water in the harbor had been drained, and there wasn't even a corner of the Tang Bao's clothes. To Gu Linshan, under such circumstances, it was reasonable that there wasn't a corner of the clothes. But to Di Hao Ian, the Tang Bao was alive. She didn't die. She jumped out of the plane and survived. He definitely wouldn't think that if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. Chapter 676. Look for the Tang Bao and the child. She will come back when we find the child. Di Hao Ian stood by the window and looked at the dry harbor in the distance. He Ju behind him said, "That's what we've always done." He Ju didn't dare to say that the Tang Bao would never come back. She was buried in the harbor and disappeared without a trace. However, if he said that, even if it was just a possibility, it would touch Di Hao Ian's reverse scale. She must still be alive. Like before, she's hiding in a place that I don't know. Tell the Transportation Bureau to keep a close eye on her. Yes. Di Hao Ian returned to the castle. The castle was as usual. It was grand and solemn. However, it was so cold that it made people cautious with every step they took. When the maid in charge saw Di Hao Ian's car, she immediately stood outside the hall respectfully and didn't dare to breathe. Di Hao Ian didn't walk towards the hall. His dark eyes looked into the distance. The roses of different colors were an unconcealable scenery in the castle. They jumped into his dark eyes for a moment. Di Hao Ian walked toward the rose garden. He stood beside the roses. It looked fine from a distance, but when he looked closer, he saw that the roses had withered and only a few drooping leaves were left. Di Hao Ian's imposing figure stood there, motionless, but his voice was terrifying as if it came from hell. "Didn't I say that the flowers here have to be kept in bloom all year round?" Lian, who was standing behind him, shuddered. The maid and servant in charge of the rose garden stood there trembling. "Young master, I didn't manage it well." I'll give you a chance to make up for it. Di Hao Ian's face was as cold as ice. Don't let me dye these flowers with your blood. Yes. Lian immediately ordered the maid in charge of the rose garden to replant the roses. Every flower had to bloom beautifully. Di Hao Ian turned and left the rose garden. The withered flowers in the garden seemed to make the thorns on the rose stalks sharper, piercing his heart one by one. The pain was unbearable. As soon as he entered the room, Di Hao Ian felt as if he was suffocating. There was no smell of tang bao inside for a long time, but he felt as if a bloody hole had been gouged out of his heart. It looked like someone else had done it, but in fact, it was him. Di Hao Ian's gaze fell on the wall. There was only a blank space there. He immediately went to look for the 3 obediences and 4 virtues and the agreement that he had torn apart. Just as he was about to rummage through the master bedroom, he thought of something and left the room to go next door. Then he found the torn pieces in the drawer. After piecing them together, not a single piece was missing. However, the cracks were densely packed, and it was a tragic sight. It was as if a heart had suddenly exploded in front of him. How would the Tang Bao feel after tearing up the agreement in front of him? Was it so painful that he wished he was dead? What was he doing? Even if he had amnesia, he shouldn't have hurt her like this. How could he bear to Di Hao Ian close his eyes tightly? He was enduring the intense pain in his heart. His hands that were supporting him on the table trembled because of the force. The veins on the back of his hands were exposed, and they were hideous and distorted. Then his black eyes suddenly opened, and they were scarlet. Hiju saw Di Hao Ian coming out of the door, and his expression froze. Young master, Legion Garden. Legion Garden was Di Lingyue's villa. Hiju immediately understood what was going on. He opened the car door, and after Di Hao Ian got into the car, he returned to the front passenger seat and asked the driver to drive. The car quickly left the castle and drove to Legion Garden. At night, except for Di Junbai, everyone was in the villa. The servants didn't understand Di Hao Ian's arrival. Only the murderous aura that he exuded made them retreat, and they didn't dare to raise their heads. Di Hao Ian went directly to Di Lingyue's room. In the room, Di Lingyue was listening to music and humming a tune. His eyes were closed, and he was very comfortable. If Di Hao Ian was dead, even if he was grounded in his own house, he would still feel comfortable. Yu Sanwan didn't have a son, but he still had a son. There was still a chance for everything. But he didn't know that danger was approaching him. Suddenly, the music stopped, and the tune that Di Lingyue was humming stopped as well. Only then did he feel that something was wrong with the air. He turned around, and when he saw Di Hao Ian's tall and dark figure in his room, he was so frightened that he jumped up. He retreated in fear. Are you a human or a ghost? You can come closer and see if I'm a human or a ghost. Di Hao Ian slowly approached Di Lingyue. The hellish aura that he exuded made Di Lingyue retreat step by step. No, impossible. You're clearly dead. You fell into the harbor and exploded to death. How? How are you still alive? Di Lingyue was so frightened that his face turned pale. So, you're the one who should die now. Don't come over. I'm your uncle. Don't be disrespectful. Disrespectful? I've always been like this. Di Hao Ian's eyes turned sharp. He grabbed Di Lingyue's neck with a strong hand and slammed him into the wall beside him. Ah. Di Lingyue's throat was almost broken. His feet were only touching the ground, and his old face turned red because of the lack of oxygen. Didn't I tell you before that it's okay to kill me, but if you hurt her, you'll die? During your birthday party, do you still remember? Di Hao Ian was like a demon from hell. Every word that he said was filled with anger. Of course, Di Lingyue remembered. So, he didn't do anything to Tang Bao. It was only after Di Hao Ian lost his memory that Di Lingyue suddenly woke up in his brain that lacked oxygen. Di Hao Ian regained his memory? If you kill me, you'll have a chance to live. If you kill my father, you'll also have a chance to live. If you kill her, you won't even have the chance to beg for mercy. Di Hao Ian's black eyes were filled with anger. No, you can't kill me. Don't forget that I'm your uncle. I'm your relative. I'm your senior. You can't do this. You can't kill me. Di Lingwe screamed in fear. He grabbed onto the last bit of hope and resisted Di Haoyan. Di Haoyan loosened his grip on his neck. He looked at him without any change in his expression. Di Lingwe was overjoyed. Did it work? Di Haoyan even retracted his hand. Di Lingwe still wanted to make excuses for himself. My father and your grandfather don't want you to do this either. We're all from the Di family. We shouldn't kill each other like this. Ouch. Before he could finish his sentence, a sharp knife stabbed into his left chest, right in the middle of his heart. Fresh blood instantly soaked the knife. You? Di Lingwe widened his bloodshot eyes. He couldn't believe that Di Haoyan would really kill him. He was his uncle. How could Di Haoyan pull the knife out and stab him again? Chapter 677. The blood also sprayed onto Di Haoyan's body. However, Di Haoyan acted as if he didn't see it. He pulled out the knife again and stabbed it in again. Like a madman, he stabbed Di Lingwe more than 30 times before he stopped. Di Lingwe, who had already stopped breathing, fell into a pool of blood. Di Haoyan threw the knife on Di Lingwe's body and took out a napkin from the table beside him to wipe his hands. The snow-white napkin was instantly dyed red. He wiped one napkin after another. Di Haoyan's black eyes were still calm. It was as if the one who died wasn't a person, but an ant. Even the old and young of the Di family couldn't stop him from killing Di Lingwe. The only thing he regretted was that he didn't kill him earlier. A scream came from the door. Li Yuhuai, who had just returned from the kitchen, saw such a bloody and terrifying scene. Di Haoyan, who seemed to have come out from hell, was so scared that she screamed. She fell to the ground. Di Haoyan turned around and looked at her. Li Yuhuai was so scared that her whole body trembled. Her legs were weak, and she barely stood up. She turned around and ran. Not long after she ran, she bumped into someone. Li Yuhuai was so scared that she screamed again. Auntie, it's me. What happened? Lan Wanru had just finished speaking when she saw Di Haoyan coming out of Di Lingwe's room. He was still alive? Her face was filled with joy. However, when she saw Di Haoyan's gloomy eyes, the joy on her face couldn't help but fade. Since Di Haoyan's clothes were all black, she couldn't see that they were stained with blood. However, she could smell the thick smell of blood in the air. He killed Lingwe. He killed Lingwe. Call the police. Call the police. Li Yuhuai's hand was tightly clutching Lan Wanru's hand. Lan Wanru's hand was hurting. However, Li Yuhuai's words made her expression change. She looked at Di Haoyan again. Brother Haoyan, is this true? Why? Lan Wanru asked innocently. Di Haoyan looked at her with a bone-chilling gaze. Lan Wanru was startled, and his breathing became erratic. Why was he looking at her like that? Lan Wanru instinctively felt afraid and guilty. He killed Lingyu. He killed Lingyu. He even killed his own uncle. Li Yuhuai beat his chest and stamped his feet as he cried. Di Haoyan's eyes turned cold. He took out his gun and fired at Li Yuhuai. Bang! Li Yuhuai fell to the ground. Lan Wanru was so scared that he covered his ears. He looked at Li Yuhuai on the ground, and his face turned pale. He thought Li Yuhuai was dead, but when he looked again, he saw that she had only been shot in the leg. However, she had already fainted. Lan Wanru was afraid that Di Haoyan would shoot again, so he stood in front of Li Yuhuai. She believed that Di Haoyan would not kill her. She loved him so much. Brother Haoyan, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Lan Wanru cried as he approached Di Haoyan. This is my aunt. You can't kill her. She didn't do anything. As he spoke, he went forward and hugged Di Haoyan's hand that was holding the gun. Brother Haoyan, don't be angry. Do you know? Do you know how happy I am knowing that you're still alive? As long as you're alive. Di Haoyan swung his hand, and Lan Wanru fell to the ground. Lan Wanru fell to the ground. She looked at Di Haoyan in shock. Her originally sickly face was now as white as a corpse. Di Haoyan looked at her condescendingly. Should I kill you as well? What? Brother Haoyan, why don't you care about me? Why have you changed? You've recovered your memory? Lan Wanru asked. If she hadn't recovered her memory, Di Hao Ian wouldn't have treated her like this. There wasn't a trace of emotion in his eyes. Don't tell me that you think everything that happened in the past should be blamed on me. I thought that even though you lost your memory, you still loved me in your heart. That's why you treated me so well. Isn't that the case? Lan Wanru looked at the black muzzle fearlessly. Tears slid down her face. Then she lowered her head. All right, if you think it's my fault, then you can shoot me. Dying in your hands is also a kind of happiness for me. It's better than living without you. With that, she closed her eyes. She waited for the moment Di Hao Ian pulled the trigger. Di Hao Ian looked at Lan Wanru's tear-stained face. His black eyes didn't waver. In a flash, the raised gun fell. His arm seemed to have lost its strength. Turning around, he didn't look at Lan Wanru again and disappeared from Legion Garden. Lan Wanru breathed a sigh of relief. But it was also the fear of surviving a disaster. Di Hao Ian didn't shoot. Did that mean that he still had feelings for her? Yes, they grew up together. He definitely couldn't bear to part with her. After getting into the car, Di Hao Ian closed his eyes. His face was still stained with blood. Young Master Di? Hiju stood beside the car, the maid by Lan Wanru's side. Hiju instantly understood and turned to leave. Bai Li, who had been hiding in the dark, didn't know what happened. Her neck was twisted just like that. Her eyes were wide open as if she wanted to know who killed her. When Di Junbai came back, the house was filled with the smell of blood. Li Yuhuai's cries could also be heard. Annie, please wait a little longer. The doctor will be here soon. Lan Wanru comforted her. Li Yuhuai didn't just have a leg injury. Di Lingyue, who was lying in a pool of blood, had also suffered a heavy blow to her body and soul. As soon as she saw Di Junbai, Li Yuhuai immediately cried to him, Junbai, your father was killed by Di Hao Ian. He was killed by Di Hao Ian, that heartless person. I've already called the police. The police aren't here yet, but your father's body is still in the room. Go take a look. How can there be such a crazy person? Lan Wanru said, Auntie's leg is injured. Everything else is fine. The doctor will be here soon. It's just that, uncle. When Di Junbai arrived at Di Lingyue's room, Di Lingyue's body was still there. No one dared to move it. There was a knife on the body. It was obvious that this knife had stabbed Di Lingyue's body full of holes. It was too horrible to look at. Di Junbai reached out to take the knife. In the end, he retracted his hand and stood up. He could use this knife to make some noise, but what good would it do him? No matter whether Di Hao Ian left this knife on purpose or not, he shouldn't touch it. Moreover, this matter had nothing to do with him. Just as he walked out of the room, the police came. One group went to deal with Di Lingyue's body. The other group went to interrogate everyone in the house. May I know who killed him? Did you see it with your own eyes? The first question the police asked was. Di Junbai hesitated and didn't say anything. Chapter 678. Didn't I say it on the phone? It was Di Hao Ian who killed him. I saw it with my own eyes. Officers, I really saw it with my own eyes. I can testify. Hurry up and arrest him. Let him pay with his life. The two police officers looked at each other. There was a hint of information in each other's eyes. Wasn't Di Hao Ian the king of D City? Arrest him and put him in jail? There was obvious hesitation on their faces. Their hearts were filled with fear. Not to mention them. Even if their superiors were here, they wouldn't dare to do anything to Di Hao Ian. Don't worry. We will definitely handle this matter fairly and justly, one of the police officers said. Then the interrogation ended. From the beginning to the end, they only asked that one question and didn't ask anything else. It was obvious that they were afraid of Di Hao Ian's identity and didn't want to convict him of any crime. Di Junbai kept quiet and hid his emotions in his eyes. He had clearly seen the expressions and attitudes of the two officers just now. This was also what he had expected. It wasn't surprising at all. When Di Lingyue's body was about to be taken away for identification, Di Junbai had a bad feeling. However, before he could think of anything, his thoughts were interrupted by Li Yuhuai. Junbai, your father died so tragically. Just like that. You don't know how scared I was when I saw that scene. Di Hao Ian is too scary. He's like a devil. No, he's a devil. Mom, it's better if you don't move your leg. Wait for the doctor to come. Di Junbai said. Li Yuhai found Di Junbai's calm expression strange. Junbai, your father is dead. Why aren't you sad at all? Lan Wanru couldn't help but look at Di Junbai. Not only was Di Junbai not sad, but he wasn't angry either. Di Junbai was stunned by the question and said, I'm sad in my heart. The dead cannot be brought back to life. We can only grieve. Although what he said was right, this calmness that shouldn't be there still made Li Yuhai feel strange in his heart. However, perhaps Di Junbai was right. The dead cannot be brought back to life. After the doctor arrived, he removed the bullet for Li Yuhai, treating gunshot wounds. After it was done, Lan Wanru asked the doctor, How is it? There won't be any problems, right? Is it possible to recover after resting for a while? I'm afraid it's very difficult. The doctor was hired by them, so he probably wouldn't lie. What do you mean? Li Yuhai was shocked. Don't tell me that my leg will be crippled from now on. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if this person's marksmanship is too accurate, but Madam can still walk. It's just that walking in the future will affect her beauty. Li Yuhai was shocked. He immediately broke down and scolded. You quack. What nonsense are you talking about? Get lost. What would affect the aesthetics? You might as well say that I'm a cripple. Get lost. Get this quack out of here. Auntie, calm down, calm down. Lan Wanru tried to persuade her. After Di Junbai went to the hospital's autopsy department, he asked the doctor about the results. He entered the autopsy room. The person lying on the autopsy table was Di Lingyue. Other than Di Lingyue's face that could still be recognized, the other parts of his body were all cut up. His internal organs and flesh were all cut off. He was already in a state where there were no intact parts of his body. Seeing Di Junbai standing there in a daze, the doctor immediately explained, When there's a murder case, we need to find out all the suspicious parts of the body. The corpses sent here are all like this. You haven't seen them before, so you might not know. Did Di Junbai still need to listen to any explanation? Did he think that he was easy to fool? That night, when Di Lingyue's body was taken away, he had a bad feeling. So, it was because of this. It seemed that he was right to be sensitive. Di Lingyue was in a worse state than being torn apart by 5 horses. Then, have you found anything suspicious now? Di Junbai asked without any change in his expression. It was as if the person being dissected on the autopsy table wasn't his father. It was just a stranger. And even if it was a stranger, an ordinary person who came to this place and saw such a horrifying scene, wouldn't he frown? But Di Junbai didn't. In the end, after the autopsy, other than the 39 stab wounds on the chest, there were no other injuries. The only fatal injury was the puncture to the heart. The doctor said, Then, can I take the body away? Of course. In the morning, Li Yin saw that there was no movement in Di Haoyin's room. He went up to call Di Haoyin for breakfast. However, when he entered the room, he saw Di Haoyin sitting on the sofa. He was holding the book that Tang Bao read when she was pregnant, Sun Tzu's Art of War. On the coffee table, there were 2 pieces of torn paper that were glued back together. Li Yin looked at the bed again. The bed was neat and tidy. It hadn't been slept on at all. Di Haoyin's clothes were also from yesterday. Could it be that he hadn't slept all night? Young master, it's time for breakfast. Get out. Di Haoyin didn't even raise his head. His voice wasn't too loud, but it was very scary. Li Yin didn't say anything else and turned around to go down. Zhang Li saw Li Yin go downstairs and hurried forward. Young master, aren't you going to eat? Let the kitchen heat up the breakfast. What's wrong with the young master? Even if he didn't find the young madam, he shouldn't be like this, right? Also, let those roses be planted. Didn't the young master not care about these things in the past? Zhang Li asked in confusion. That was when he lost his memory. What do you mean? The young master has regained his memory now. What? Really? How do you know? Did the young master tell you? Zhang Li was very suspicious. If you could know, you should be sitting in my position. Zhang Li. Just as the 2 of them were talking, someone came in. It was Yu Songhuan. Li Yin went forward. Old madam is here. Yu Songhuan looked in the direction of the dining room. Is Di Haoyin having breakfast? No. The young master is in his room. He hasn't woken up yet? Li Yin didn't say anything. In the eyes of others, silence was just like that. The young master slept very late last night. I think he doesn't want anyone to disturb him. Since he's sleeping, let him sleep well. I'll come again next time, Yu Songhuan said, and prepared to leave. She didn't know that Di Haoyin had already returned. It was Li Yuhuai who called early in the morning. She cried until she was out of breath on the phone, saying that Di Haoyin killed Di Lingwei. This was what shocked her. Why did he kill Di Lingwei? What did Di Lingwei do? She thought of Yiju's accusation in the bungalow, and her heart turned cold. If that was really the case, then did she do something wrong again? Lian thought of something and called out to Yu Songhuan. "Old madam, there's something I want to tell you." "What is it?" Yu Songhuan turned around. The young master has regained his memory. Chapter 679. Yes, he has recovered. Yu Songhuan felt that her mind was in a mess, and she had lost her ability to think. She subconsciously looked upstairs. This was a good thing, a good thing. At least he had completely recovered. However, Yu Songhuan clearly felt that her hands and feet were cold. She turned around and left stiffly. Did this mean that Di Haoyin remembered that she had harmed his first child? And what she had done to Tang Bao when he had lost his memory? But she had done it for his own good. Which mother didn't think for her son? Just like that time, if she hadn't forced Tang Bao to do a paternity test, he would have been deceived. Everyone would have been kept in the dark. This was the scariest thing. But why did she still feel flustered when the matter was clearly reasonable? Now she even suspected that Di Haoyin was really sleeping, or did he just not want to see her? Yu Songhuan left the castle with an uneasy heart. After Yu Songhuan left, Zhongli asked Li Yin in confusion, "Why did you tell old madam this?" "Supervisor, are you deliberately scaring old madam?" Old madam's expression changed. Li Yin wouldn't be so bored, right? He had always been very serious. Li Yin glanced at her and didn't answer her curiosity. He only said, "The young master hasn't slept for 3 days." "What? 3 days? Didn't you say that the young master was sleeping and didn't want old madam to disturb him?" Zhongli didn't understand which sentence was true. "Ever since the young master came back, I want to tidy up his room every day. The bed was always neat. When I went to the room this morning, the young master was sitting on the sofa. He didn't even take off his clothes. He hasn't slept for 3 days. How did he do it? Isn't he sleepy? I think it should have something to do with recovering his memory. Does he need to see a doctor?" Zhongli asked. "This is a psychological problem. I'm afraid he needs to see a psychiatrist. I don't quite understand. Have you forgotten what the young master did to young madam when he lost his memory?" When Zhongli thought of this, he immediately became angry. "Of course I remember. Young Master Di did something very overboard. He bullied young madam. I understand now. The young master became like this because he felt guilty towards young madam. Now that young madam is missing, he definitely can't sleep." Before Zhongli finished speaking, Lian was the first to notice that something was wrong. He pulled Zhongli and then retreated to the side. Both of them lowered their heads slightly. Zhongli's heart was churning with fear. When did the young master come downstairs? Why wasn't there any sound at all? Did young Master Di hear everything she said just now? Was she dead meat? She said so many bad things about the young master in the castle hall. It would be strange if she didn't die. Just as she thought so, Di Haoyin walked past her. The wind could make them shiver. Di Haoyin left the castle. Zhongli stood outside the hall and watched the car leave with her own eyes. She turned around and glared at Leon. "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, would I have said those things just now?" Zhongli thought of something and asked again, "Did you notice that the young Master Di has dark circles under his eyes? Does this really mean that the young Master Di hasn't slept for 3 days? Can his body take it if this is the case? But I think that other than the dark circles under his eyes, he's no different from usual. It shouldn't be a big problem, right? He'll definitely be able to sleep when he can't take it anymore." For Zhongli, who could snore as soon as he lay down, it was impossible for him to not sleep for a few days. Di Haoyin went to the Tang family's house. There was nothing inside except for a servant. He stood in front of Tang Qishan's portrait and burned incense for him. He stood there for a long time. "I will definitely find her. You don't want anything to happen to her, right? I won't allow it either. Not long after Di Hao Yin went in, Di Junbai's car also stopped at the entrance of the Tang family's house. Seeing Di Hao Yin's car, it seemed that only He Ju was beside him. The other bodyguards had probably all gone out to look for Tang Bao. Di Junbai walked in and saw the tall figure standing in front of Tang Qishan's portrait, motionless. He walked over and said, "I'm helping you look for the child. You killed my father. Why? Why are you pretending in front of me?" Di Hao Ian's voice was so calm that there was no fluctuation in it. "I don't know what you're talking about." Di Hao Ian turned around and waved at Di Junbai's face. With a bang, Di Junbai fell to the ground. Blood immediately flowed out from the corner of his mouth. "Do you understand now?" Di Hao Ian looked down at him with cold eyes. "Brother, just kill me. Anyway, you killed my father. Why would you care if I'm killed? Even if I know what you did, I can't do it to you. I just hate. Why am I your brother?" Di Junbai looked at him calmly. "Brother? After I took T's position, all brothers and uncles were secondary. Did you really think that I was kind enough to keep your lowly lives? Who asked you to plot against me one by one? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish," Di Hao Yin said viciously. "I didn't plot against you. I've been helping you. Do you know what kind of life Tang Bao is living because of your amnesia? You're suspecting that she's pregnant with your child. What if she doesn't run away? Let you force her to have an abortion? If I don't help her, she'll fall into your hands. Don't say that she doesn't trust you. I don't trust you either. Because you've hurt her enough," Di Junbai said fearlessly. Di Hao Ian's expression darkened when he heard the words Tang Bao. His dark eyes rippled with extreme pain. He took a step back. "Don't blame her for not trusting you. You didn't trust her from the beginning, which is why she ran away. She didn't know what you would do after seeing the paternity test. What you gave her was the kind of insecurity that even Wanru could stay in the castle. Brother, you're the one in the wrong from the beginning." Di Junbai rebuked him. "I've been looking for the child for a few days, but there's no news at all. I didn't do this for you. Tang Bao used to treat me as a friend, so I had to do something for her. Now, since you're back, the child. Don't mention the child to me." Di Hao Ian roared violently and interrupted Di Junbai. His dark eyes looked at Di Junbai. "Don't appear in front of me again. Otherwise, I'll grind your bones to dust." Di Junbai's expression changed. He didn't say anything else and turned to leave. Di Hao Ian's expression was painful. He panted heavily, his eyelids were bruised, and his eyes were bloodshot. His heart hurt so much that he felt like he was going to fall to the ground. He Ju ran in hurriedly. "Young master, painkillers. Young master, I'll take you to the hospital." Chapter 680. He was terrified to touch him. This was because there was something wrong with Di Hao Ian's entire body. His entire body was filled with coldness and hostility. The bruises under his eyes could be seen at a glance. Later, under He Ju's encouragement, he examined Di Hao Ian. After the examination, the doctor said, "There's nothing wrong." He Ju seemed to doubt the doctor's judgment. But the young master's heart is in pain. It's so painful that he needs painkillers. How can there be nothing wrong? Would it hurt if there was nothing wrong? Why would it hurt so much? But I've checked carefully. The young master's heartbeat is strong and powerful. It's the healthiest heart. This doctor was an authoritative expert, the director of the hospital, and the most skilled person in the entire D city. However, the person he met was Di Hao Ian. His state of mind was also very oppressive, but he was very confident in his medical skills. He looked at Di Hao Ian, who had a restrained expression, and asked, "Young master, have you not slept for a few days?" Di Hao Ian's entire face was filled with gloominess. He did not say anything, but it was already very terrifying. Now that he did not say a word, it was even more difficult to guess what he was thinking. "Young master, do you want to sleep now? Are you sleepy?" The doctor continued to ask. "No." "Then, has something happened to the young master recently?" At first, Di Hao Ian was expressionless. After the doctor asked this, he immediately met Di Hao Ian's malicious black eyes. The doctor was so scared that he took a step back. He was already so old. "Was it easy?" "Young master, what I mean is, if it's a physical problem, there's only one treatment method. If it's a psychological problem, there's another treatment method. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Di Hao Ian spoke just as the air was about to explode from the pressure. The doctor looked at Di Hao Ian's expression and knew that it must be related to his psychological problem. He had already checked Di Hao Ian's body thoroughly. His physical indicators were all healthy. Moreover, he said that his heart was in pain, but there was nothing wrong with his heart at all. If this was not a psychological problem, then what was it? How about this, young Master D? I'll prescribe you some sleeping pills without any side effects and some Chinese medicine for recuperation. What do you think? Di Hao Ian said nothing. Ju said, sure. The doctor left. Ever since Yu Songhuan returned to the bungalow from the castle, he had been feeling uneasy. He kept asking Aunt Wang if Tang Bao had returned. One day, he asked again, is there any news about the Tang Bao? Old madam, I've asked someone to keep an eye on her every day. She hasn't. Auntie Wang said, old madam, isn't it great that the young master is back safely? Why you keep asking if young madam is back? Yu Songhuan lowered his head and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he said, Hao Ian has regained his memories. Recover my memory? Then the matter of old madam drugging. Auntie Wang realized what she had said and quickly shut her mouth. Even if it was my fault before, the paternity test is still true, right? If it wasn't for me, he would still be in the dark. Yu Songhuan didn't want to admit that it was his paternity test that caused the Tang Bao to run away. Yes, the young Master D should thank old madam for seeing through all of this. Yu Songhuan thought of something and said to Auntie Wang, go to the doctor who did the paternity test again and see if there's a mistake. The doctor personally sent it over. There shouldn't be a problem, right? If I tell you to go, then go. Why are you talking so much? Okay. I'll go there personally now. Auntie Wang found the doctor who did the paternity test for the Tang Bao. The data made Auntie Wang very surprised. She was so scared that her hands trembled. Why is this paternity test different from the previous one? I don't know either. The doctor was still puzzled. When she received the data, it clearly said that he was not related. Why could it be because someone else did it? Someone changed the report? Auntie Wang saw the doctor's expression and immediately understood that there was a problem. If that was the case, things would be terrible, because the backup data on the computer could not be wrong, unless someone changed it after it was printed. Auntie Wang hurried back to the bungalow. Yu Songhuan quickly asked, how was it? Oh, madam, something happened. Something happened. The previous paternity test was changed. This one is the real one. Yu Songhuan snatched the paternity test report from Auntie Wang's hands. When he saw that the results were completely different from the previous one, his vision turned black, and he fell straight back. Old madam, Auntie Wang was so scared that she quickly supported Yu Songhuan and helped him sit on the sofa. Old madam, don't worry. You can't be blamed for this. You weren't the one who changed the paternity test report. Auntie Wang picked up the paper that had fallen on the ground and comforted Yu Songhuan. That's my biological grandson. My biological grandson. Yu Songhuan had never felt so desperate before. If Di Hao Ian found out about his foolish behavior, would he want to kill him, his biological mother? Yu Songhuan regretted it very much now. But no matter how much he regretted it, Tang Bao had disappeared. He did not know where he went. Old madam, Auntie Wang could not help but feel sad. How should I face Hao Ian? Yu Songhuan's eyes were filled with tears. Tang Bao ran out with a big belly, suffering and helplessness alone. Hao Ian will hate me to death. Old madam, it has already happened. You have to explain to the young master. Otherwise, he will really think that you changed the paternity test report. You did this because you don't like Tang Bao. After all, you have never tolerated Tang Bao. Auntie Wang felt that the most important thing at this moment was to clarify herself. Yes, I have to go to the castle. I have to explain to Hao Ian that this matter was not caused by me. Someone changed the paternity test report. Yu Songhuan said as he stood up. At the castle. Before he entered, Yu Songhuan's heart was already filled with uneasiness. She was probably the first person to feel like this when she saw her son. As soon as he entered the hall, Yu Songhuan smelled Chinese medicine. When he entered the hall, he saw Di Hao Ian sitting on the sofa, drinking something. Yu Song-hwan was worried about Di Hao-ian's health and hurriedly went forward to ask, "What's wrong? Why is he drinking Chinese medicine?" Di Hao-ian did not say anything. After drinking the Chinese medicine, Zhongli took the empty bowl. Then he went down. Lian looked at the silent Di Hao-ian and said, "The young master has insomnia, so he was prescribed Chinese medicine to recuperate." Yu Song-hwan heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that it was not a big problem. It was just insomnia. After Lian finished speaking, he went down. He thought that at this time, he did not need to stay by the side in the hall. Yu Song-hwan looked at Di Hao-ian's pale face. There were even dark circles under his eyes. Chapter 681. And all of this was caused by him. Did the quality of your sleep improve after drinking the Chinese medicine? Yu Song-hwan sat down on the sofa and asked cautiously. Di Hao-ian didn't say anything. He stood up and was about to leave the hall. Yu Song-hwan hurriedly went forward. "Hao-ian, I have something to tell you." Di Hao-ian didn't stop at all and left directly. Yu Song-hwan couldn't believe his heartless attitude. Was there no need to say a word to her? He didn't even ask what she wanted to say. Was Tang Bao's matter the only thing that could arouse his reaction now? Lian walked over and said, "Old madam, please be considerate of the young master. The young master hasn't slept for 3 days." "What? 3 days? Today is the 4th day. He slept on the sofa for half an hour in the morning and woke up again. The young master has just taken his medicine, so it's suitable for him to rest," Lian said. He hadn't slept for 3 days and only slept for half an hour. What could be the use of sleeping for half an hour? Yu Song-hwan didn't expect his insomnia to be so serious. What did the doctor say? The doctor prescribed Chinese medicine and sleeping pills. Sleeping pills are added to the Chinese medicine, but the effect isn't very big, so he only slept for half an hour. Why can't he sleep? It wasn't like this in the past. He has always slept well, Yu Song-hwan said worriedly. "I think it has something to do with the young madam's disappearance. I'm afraid that if the young madam doesn't appear for a day, the young master's body won't be able to take it. If old madam can find a way to find the young madam, old madam's current worries will be solved." Lian's words had a hidden meaning. It was as if he had already seen through Yu Song-hwan's purpose for coming here. Yu Song-hwan's expression was guilty, but he was also anxious. She had come here to explain the DNA test. However, if Di Hao-ian's problem was the Tang Bao, would his insomnia disappear if she explained it to him? But where was she going to find the Tang Bao? Even Di Hao-ian couldn't find it. So how could she? When they walked out of the castle, Annie Wong came up to help her. Seeing that her complexion was not good, she still said to Yu Song-hwan, "Second madam called the bungalow and said that second master's funeral will be held today. She hopes that you can go and take a look. She's afraid that gossip will spread. Does old mistress want to go over?" Dealing Yu's death was caused by Hao-ian. "Why would I go there? Since I'm going to send some things over." "I won't be going." "Yes." She sent the bodyguards from the bungalow to Di Ling Yue's funeral. When she came back, she had something to tell Mrs. Wong. Naturally, Annie Wong had to inform Yu Song-hwan, but also made her hesitate. "What's wrong?" Yu Song-hwan saw that Annie Wong's expression was not right and asked, "Old mistress, a Biao came back from second master's funeral." He heard something from second madam. Auntie Wong hesitated. Yu Song-hwan was stunned at first, but then he understood. That's normal. Hao-ian killed Di Lingwe, so it would be strange if they were happy. So, I was right not to go. It's not that. What else? Yu Song-hwan didn't know. Didn't second master say that young master and young madam fell into the harbor and were killed by the explosion? Speaking of this, I'm really angry at Di Lingyue's behavior. He actually cursed Hao-ian like that. No wonder he died a horrible death. But the person who died was young madam. What nonsense are you talking about? If Hao-ian is fine, she will naturally be fine. Yu Song-hwan was unwilling to admit it. If Tang Bao was really dead, would Di Hao-ian still acknowledge her as his mother? Wouldn't he hate her for the rest of his life? They said that young master killed second master because second master caused young madam's death. Nonsense. Yu Song-hwan's hand trembled, and the cup beside him fell. It's true. Also, The water in the harbor was drained not because the Gu family wanted to do real estate. That was just a cover. In reality, young master was looking for young madam. Annie Wang's heart ached as she spoke. She didn't expect Di Hao Ian to be so persistent. If Di Hao Ian's feelings for Tang Bao were so deep, one could imagine how painful it would be for him. He couldn't find her, right? That means she's still alive. Yu Sanghuan searched for all kinds of possibilities. But young madam fell into the harbor and exploded. It's normal that he couldn't find her. Annie Wang's voice became softer and softer. She meant that the body had been blown to pieces. They definitely couldn't find her. Yu Sanghuan panicked and breathed heavily, as if he would have a heart attack at any time. She couldn't accept this. Tang Bao could run away and disappear, but how could he be blown to death? Thinking of something, Yu Sanghuan immediately asked, "Then what about my biological grandson? Without Tang Bao, where's my biological grandson? He's missing." What? Yu Sanghuan looked as if he had been struck by lightning, and his face turned pale. Who took the child away? Who dares? I think young master is definitely looking for the child, but I don't know when he'll find him. Did I do something wrong? If I did a paternity test, how could this happen? Yu Sanghuan had been arrogant all his life. When had he ever admitted his mistake? But now, she realized that she was gravely mistaken. At night, Di Hao Ian was still in the study, and Lian was still awake outside. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning, but he still hadn't returned to his room to sleep. Could he be sleeping? But it didn't seem like it. What should he do? Taking medicine was useless. Ever since he slept for half an hour last time, no matter how much medicine he took, it didn't work. After Lian woke up in the morning, he asked the servant on duty, "Did young master sleep?" "The supervisor told me to tell you as long as young master slept." "But he didn't," the servant said. Lian sighed. At this moment, he saw Gu Linshan enter the hall. "Young Master Gu, what's the matter?" Gu Linshan glanced at the door of the study in front of him. Lian's expression was heavy. He thought that Gu Linshan might have a solution, so he said, "Young master hasn't slept since he came back." Gu Linshan's eyes were cold and slightly stunned. He went to see the doctor. The doctor prescribed Chinese medicine and sleeping pills, but there was no effect. Gu Linshan's eyes darkened, and he walked into the study. After entering, the light inside was very dim. There were no lights on. Di Hao Ian, who was sitting in front of the desk, was completely shrouded in darkness. Especially under his eyes, they were dark green. It was obvious that he didn't get enough sleep. The ashtray on the table was full of cigarette butts. It was obvious that he hadn't slept all night. Gu Linshan walked over, picked up the cigarettes on the table, and lit one. "You don't have a physical problem. You have a psychological problem. I can help you get a psychiatrist." Di Hao Ian didn't say anything. It should be said that after Gu Linshan came in, his body didn't even react, and his eyes didn't even move. Chapter 682. Gu Linshan exhaled a puff of smoke and looked at Di Hao Ian, who seemed to have lost his soul. He asked, "Is it worth it to get yourself into this state for a woman?" Di Hao Ian's eyes did not move, but they were much deeper. "I came here to ask you about the harbor. I want to work with you. This was a sure-win partnership. If you're interested, let me know." Gu Linshan took a few puffs of his cigarette, put it out in the ashtray, and left the study room. Di Hao Ian only reacted when he turned around. He looked up at Gu Linshan until the door closed. Gu Linshan said to Lian, "It's useless for him to take medicine like this. It's better to find a psychiatrist." Lian was speechless. "I know a good psychiatrist. Call him over when the time comes." "Thank you, young Master Gu." Lian nodded. Gu Linshan did not say anything and left the castle. He thought about Di Hao Ian in the study room just now. He would rather fight with Di Hao Ian than see him like this. The sun was shining brightly outside. It was calm, but also depressing. He wanted to catch the flow of time, but it slipped through his fingers helplessly. What could not be kept would always leave. Gu Linshan looked out of the window with deep eyes. He thought of something and ordered the driver, "Go to Greenvine City." Greenvine City was the university that Luo Luoli was studying at. He had not been here since Luo Luoli went to university. It was full of adolescent boys and girls, brimming with youth everywhere. As soon as Gu Linshan entered, his appearance and temperament immediately attracted a large number of boys and girls. Gu Linshan pretended that he did not see them. At this moment, Luo Luoli did not expect Gu Linshan to come to the university to look for her. She was in the library, secretly staring at the senior who caught her eye as soon as she entered university. He was wearing a white shirt and was clean. He was simply the spokesperson of the sun. Luo Luoli knew that she was already married. Although she didn't want to be married, it would be immoral if she really did something. Therefore, she only watched from afar. It wasn't her fault that she met him in the library. She just happened to meet him by accident. She didn't expect that her senior would be reading here. Moreover, he was reading a very profound book. Luo Luoli quickly hid behind the bookshelf when she saw her senior standing up and going to the bookshelf. She was just one bookshelf away from her senior. Luo Luoli saw her senior's figure through the gaps between the books. He walked forward, and so did she. No matter what, he wouldn't find out that she was peeping. She felt a burst of joy in her heart. Just as she was walking forward, her path was blocked by someone in front of her. Luo Luoli stared at the figure behind the bookshelf and pushed the obstacle in front of her. "Move aside, don't block my way." However, the person in front of her didn't respond. Luo Luoli frowned suspiciously and turned her head. When she looked up and saw the cold face and the cold gaze, she was so frightened that she immediately jumped away and straightened her body. Little uncle, why are you here?" Gu Linshan's gaze was not only cold, but also frighteningly sinister. He glanced at the other side of the bookshelf and asked her, "Is it nice?" "What's nice?" I don't know what little uncle is talking about." Luo Luoli would never admit what she was doing. She wasn't looking for death. "I think you're looking for death." Gu Linshan's voice deepened. Gu Linshan directly dragged Luo Luoli out of the school. When Luo Luoli was dragged in the school, she didn't dare to struggle. She even lowered her head and obediently followed beside Gu Linshan. This was because all the boys and girls passing by the school would see this scene. However, she couldn't keep up with his long legs. That was why she stumbled. When they were outside the school, Luo Luoli saw that there were no students staring at her, so she struggled. "Little uncle, what are you doing? I still have class in the afternoon." "You still want to go to class? What else can I do?" Gu Linshan smiled sinisterly. "Go home and wait. You don't have to go to class anymore." Luo Luoli was distracted for a moment before she was dragged into the car. The car door closed, and the car quickly left the school. Luo Luoli looked at the school that was getting further and further away from her and panicked. "Little uncle, you can't be serious, right? I'm still in school. Can't you wait until I graduate?" I don't want to." Luo Luoli panicked, and her face turned red. No normal person would be able to discuss this kind of thing with Gu Linshan in broad daylight. "It seems that it's useless to just stamp the marriage certificate. I have to stamp your soul. Otherwise, you won't even know who you are." Gu Linshan's face was gloomy and his eyes were frightening. No. I know who I am." Luo Luoli explained. "Just now I just saw a handsome person, so I took a few more glances. Little uncle, you don't have to stamp my soul just because of this, right? I won't look at you anymore, okay?" "No." Gu Linshan rejected her flatly. "Little uncle." Luo Luoli's beautiful eyes became misty. Her small face was as white as a hibiscus, beautiful and pure. It was so lovely that it made people want to protect her. However, Gu Linshan felt that his protection would only make her more unbridled. He just happened to come to school today, and he saw such a scene. Then when he wasn't around, she would go to heaven. He would investigate that boy. If he didn't want him to appear, he would never appear in front of Luo Luoli again. No matter how wronged Luo Luoli looked in front of him. Today she was dead meat. "Little uncle, I'm begging you." Luo Luoli still wanted to act coquettishly and beg for mercy, but her body swayed and she was pulled over by Gu Linshan. She directly bumped into Gu Linshan. Before she could regain her senses, her chin was lifted and she was forced to look into Gu Linshan's sinister and terrifying eyes. "Don't be nervous. I'll be very gentle." Luo Luoli's small mouth twitched. She wanted to cry in front of Gu Linshan. Why did Gu Linshan not sound gentle when he said this? Instead, it was even more frightening. Don't worry. Even if you cry your eyes dry today, don't expect me to forgive you. After the car arrived at the mansion, Luo Luoli hugged the seat tightly as she was about to get out of the car. She refused to let go and get out of the car. Gu Linshan looked indifferently at her final struggle and stepped forward. Are you sure you don't want to get out of the car? If you don't touch me, I'll get out. It's okay if you don't get out, Gu Linshan said. Luo Luoli thought to herself, how can you be so nice? Why don't I believe you? She was right to not believe you. Then stay in the car. Gu Linshan reached out to grab Luo Luoli. Luo Luoli was frightened. She quickly let go and got out of the car. She ran faster than anything else. However, after getting out of the car, she realized that she had been tricked. Chapter 683. His long and sharp figure was striking under the light. He was unbelievably handsome, but she did not have the slightest bit of rationality to appreciate this beautiful scene. Luo Luoli looked at Gu Linshan nervously. Don't doubt my words. I'm serious. Luo Luoli instinctively took a step back. She never doubted Gu Linshan's words. There was no need to scare her. It was too scary. Mom, I want to go home. I know. If I don't use force, you won't give in. After Gu Linshan finished speaking, he went forward and picked Luo Luoli up. Luo Luoli was so frightened that she instinctively clung onto Gu Linshan's broad shoulders to prevent herself from being accidentally thrown down by him. Her beautiful face turned pale. Gu Linshan started walking towards the entrance of the mansion. Little uncle, it's daytime now. Don't. Can we do it at night? Luo Luoli wanted to delay Gu Linshan and get through this difficult situation first. Gu Linshan ignored her. There was no room for negotiation. Luo Luoli was anxious. What exactly happened? Why did all this happen so suddenly? She thought that Gu Linshan would not really do anything to her. Why did she end up like this after going to school? Why was she so unlucky? The closer Luo Luoli got to the room, the more frightened and flustered Luo Luoli became. Her body struggled in Gu Linshan's arms, but it was not something she could break free from. They entered the room. Luo Luoli was thrown directly onto the big bed in the room. It was Gu Linshan's room. Gu Linshan's bed. Luo Luoli was thrown over and fell onto the bed. Her head was dizzy from the fall. Her body felt like it had been thrown into a pot of oil. It was so hot that she immediately jumped up. But before she could jump off the bed, she was held down by Gu Linshan again. Lowly Luo's pretty face instantly flushed red with embarrassment. Why not? Give me a reason. Gu Linshan's face was close to Luo Luoli's. I, underage. No, not husband and wife. Yes. Do you have any other questions? I'm doing it in a perfectly justifiable way. Don't resist. It won't do you any good. Understand? Luo Luoli shook her head. She didn't want to understand at all. She bit her lips pitifully to prevent herself from making any abnormal sounds. However, in the next second, a pair of small hands were tightly swallowed up. Everything was taken away from her. She was dizzy and could not escape from Gu Linshan's actions. Enduring it bitterly, Lolita did not have any extra strength to resist. So, was she going to die today? She was still thinking of getting a divorce. She didn't want to stamp, but although Luo Luoli and Gu Linshan had been intimate with each other many times, she had always been inexperienced. Every time, her oxygen was almost depleted. Lolita felt a little dizzy. When she was released, Luo Luoli was panting heavily. She breathed in the fresh air. She was pure and beautiful. Before she could regain her senses, Luo Luoli felt Gu Linshan hugging her. Her vision spun. What else did he want? Luo Luoli was about to cry, but her pleas were useless. Gu Linshan, this wolf, had his eyes on her. No one could escape from him. Lolita struggled uncomfortably. Gu Linshan looked tenderly at the struggling Lolita and said, "Don't be nervous." Luo Luoli shook her head. "How can I not be nervous? You look so scary." However, she couldn't resist Gu Linshan at all. Her small face was completely red. She closed her eyes tightly, not even daring to open them. Just as she was about to endure everything in fear and nervousness, she realized that what she was waiting for did not come. Instead, her body sank. Luo Loli almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What the hell? She didn't understand and opened her eyes with a blank expression. Gu Linshin closed his eyes and collapsed on top of her. Then, she realized that there was another person in the room. Ah! Luo Loli screamed and looked in horror at Di Haoyan, who had appeared in the room without her knowing. What was going on? What was wrong with Di Haoyan? Why was he here? Did he like to look at others? Di Haoyan's tall figure stood there like a ghost. His expression was gloomy and cold, coupled with the dark circles under his eyes. He looked like a vampire in the middle of the night, evil and deadly. Ying Rui's gaze fell on the unconscious Gu Linshin. Well done. Young Master Di, are you here to look for my uncle? Then take him away. I won't stop you. It was fine as long as he didn't look for her. She didn't want to provoke him. Di Haoyan's gaze was cold. I'll give you 1 minute to pack up and get ready. After that, he turned and left the room. Luo Luoli was completely confused. Was he here to look for her? Why? But no matter what, she was in danger. At this moment, he was in the most danger, so he had to quickly tidy himself up. When Gu Linshin woke up, he was alone and Luo Luoli was gone. Was this a kidnapping? Gu Linshin's face suddenly showed panic and extreme anger. He put on his clothes and opened the door. Who entered the room? He was so mesmerized by Luo Luoli that he lost his vigilance. But who would have the guts to come and seek death? Where's Luoli? Gu Linshin roared. His face was unprecedentedly cold. Young Master Gu. She was taken away by the young master. The servant was so frightened that she shrank back. Gu Linshin stood there in a daze. At this moment, Luo Luoli was in the castle. When Gu Linshin went to look for her, Luo Luoli was in a huge pool. Only her neck was exposed. There were thick iron chains on all sides. 2 were tied to Luo Luoli's wrists, and 2 were tied to her feet. When Luo Luoli saw Gu Linshin, she hurriedly shouted, "Uncle, save me!" Di Haoyan was too inhumane. She didn't expect him to treat her like this. Gu Linshin looked at Di Haoyan with a dark expression. Are you crazy? They came faster than I thought. Di Haoyan sat on a comfortable chair by the pool. His aura was gloomy. Gu Linshin ignored this lunatic and turned to jump into the water to save Luo Luoli. However, when he reached the center of the pool, he found that the iron chains were wrapped around Luo Luoli's body and couldn't be untied. At this moment, the iron chains on her feet were pulled. Oh. Luo Luoli was directly dragged into the water. Gu Linshin was shocked and hurriedly wanted to carry her. Who knew that not only was Luo Luoli's body dragged into the water, but she was also locked in the iron cage below. He couldn't reach her at all. Luo Luoli struggled in the water because of the lack of oxygen. Gu Linshin took a step back in the water and raised his leg to kick the cage. However, the iron cage didn't open and didn't move at all. Luo Luoli was struggling in the water in pain. Gu Linshin rushed out of the water and shouted at Di Haoyan, "Stop it!" Chapter 684. Cough, 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 cough. Cough, cough, cough. Luo Luoli gasped for air. She was wet and her face was pale. Gu Linshin went forward to hug her and wiped the water off her face. His heart ached so much that it was about to bleed. Di Haoyan's voice came faintly. Do you still remember what I said before? It's best if you don't have a woman you care about. You also said that it's not worth it for a woman. I'm also thinking about this question, so I'm using her as an experiment. I want to know if a woman's existence really doesn't matter. After Di Haoyan finished speaking, Luo Luoli was dragged down by the chains again. No! Oh! The water was extinguished. Gu Linshin couldn't drag her down by force. He anxiously shouted at Di Haoyan, who was far away, "I take back what I said. Let her go. It has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with her. What are you doing here?" Gu Linshin looked around for the mechanism. There must be a switch that activated the chains. You won't find it. By the time you find it, she will have drowned. Di Haoyan, have you F asterisk king had enough? Gu Linshen watched Luo Luoli struggle painfully under the water, but he couldn't do anything. He was so anxious that his whole body turned cold. No, if anything happens to her, I'll F asterisk king kill you. Gu Linshen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Don't worry, I won't kill her. I haven't had enough fun yet. Di Haoyan didn't care about human lives at all, even if it was Luo Luoli. Before Luo Luoli was drowned, he pulled her up again. This time, Luo Luoli didn't even cough. She was about to faint. There was no trace of blood on his face. Gu Linshen's cold heart tightened. Her eyes were filled with hatred and bloodthirst. He knew what Di Haoyan was doing. Without the Tang Bao, he had gone crazy. In the past, he had looked down on Di Haoyan, who would rather die than live because of a woman. Now he experienced it. This was an uncontrollable emotion that surpassed everything else, even his own life. When you lost your memory, I hit you when you were down. I apologize. If my apology is not enough, you can do whatever you want of me. Let her go. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. I'm only interested in her. Di Haoyan was referring to Luo Luoli. Aren't you treating me like this because of what I did when you lost your memory? Tell me, what do I have to do to make you let her go? Gu Linshen knew that if he did not give in, the beast Di Haoyan would continue to torture Luo Luoli. Let her stay in the castle. Whenever Tang Bao comes back, I'll let her go. That's when you can see her. This was Di Haoyan's request. But what was the difference between this and imprisonment? More importantly, Gu Linshen knew very well that Tang Bao had died in the harbor and would never come back. If he agreed, wouldn't he never see Luo Luoli again? But he could not say that. Luo Luoli was still in Di Haoyan's hands. Just as Gu Linshen was hesitating, Luo Luoli was dragged into the water again. I agree. Gu Linshen did not want Luo Luoli to suffer again, so he agreed without hesitation. But Luo Luoli was still not released. I've already agreed. Stop it. Gu Linshen roared angrily. This time, Luo Luoli was not submerged for long. She was soon able to get up, but it was also extremely painful to be drowned. He was afraid that she would not be able to take it again. The feeling of dying in the water made every cell in Luo Luoli's body feel fear. Young Master Gu, please go back. Di Haoyan's low voice was intimidating as he ordered his bodyguards. You let her go first. I'm not leaving. If I stay here, do you want to see her drown? I don't have any objections. Di Haoyan looked at Gu Linshen threateningly. How could Gu Linshen not understand? If he stayed here, Luo Luoli would be drowned. Only if he left would Di Haoyan release Luo Luoli from the water. At this moment, his weakness was in Di Haoyan's hands. He could not fight him head-on. Now, he could only use a stalling tactic. Gu Linshen looked back at Luo Luoli, whose face was pale and whose eyes were filled with fear. He gritted his teeth, turned around, and came out of the water. Little uncle, Luo Luoli called out to him weakly. Gu Linshen's back trembled slightly, but he resisted the urge to turn back. He was afraid that if he turned back, he would not be willing to leave. Soon, Gu Linshen disappeared. Di Haoyan stood up and walked to the side of the pool. When he came closer, Luo Luoli was so frightened that she wanted to retreat. But her body was restrained by the metal chain, and she could not move. Di Haoyan was too scary. He was like a devil. Luo Luoli was about to cry. How could her little uncle be so inhumane? He left just like that. Don't worry. You're good to the Tang Bao. I won't do anything to you. Luo Luoli's heart was about to break down. Only now did you remember that I was good to the Tang Bao. Why can't you remember that I drowned you? However, for every second Gu Linshen stays in the castle, you'll have to stay in the water for a second longer, Di Haoyan said coldly. Luo Luoli did not quite understand. Hadn't her little uncle already left? It seemed that Luo Luoli was still too naive. When Gu Linshen, who was hiding in the dark, heard Di Haoyan's words, his face became ferocious. His whole body was emitting flames of anger. He wanted nothing more than to rush up and fight with Di Haoyan. But in the end, he suppressed his anger and turned to leave. This time, he really left the castle. Di Haoyan's lips curled into a cold, bloodless smile before he said, "Let her go." That night, Gu Linshan appeared in the castle again. The first thing he did was to go to the pool. The pool was calm. The water glowed with a clear luster under the light of the street lamps. There was no sign of danger at all, as if nothing had happened. Seeing that there was no one in the pool, Gu Linshan heaved a sigh of relief. He turned and walked inside. When he saw Lian, he asked, "Where's Di Haotian?" "The young master is in his room." "Where's Luo Luoli?" "Locked up in the south." Gu Linshan turned and walked towards the south of the castle. But when he reached the door, he was stopped. Gu Linshan could not force his way in. It seemed that Di Haotian really did not intend to let him see Luo Luoli. What was this? He could not live without seeing Luo Luoli for the rest of his life. If he fought with Di Haotian, he would only hurt Luo Luoli. This kind of sullen feeling, with nowhere to vent his anger, was terrible. Gu Linshan thought of something and turned to leave the castle again. When he got into the car, he ordered, "Find Wang Pingji immediately." Wang Pingji was the psychiatrist Gu Linshan had mentioned that he knew. Now, his subordinate asked recklessly, "Are you doubting me?" "No, I'll do it immediately." In the middle of the night, the psychiatrist, Wang Pingji, who was almost 50 years old, was found and brought directly to the castle. Lian did not expect Gu Linshan to come again and bring a stranger with him. This is... Chapter 685. Gu Linshan asked coldly, "No, how many days have you not slept?" "After locking Miss Luo up, I slept for about half an hour. I haven't slept since." Gu Linshan's heart was twisted. He could only sleep after tormenting her. He asked the person beside him, "Did you hear that?" Wang Pingji immediately said, "Yes." "Take us to see him," Gu Linshan said. Lian brought the two of them to see Di Haotian. He was indeed not asleep. He was sitting on the sofa in the living room, looking out of the floor-to-ceiling window. His gaze was distant, and there were obvious bruises under his eyes. His entire body was shrouded in yin energy, and he looked lifeless. "I heard that you couldn't sleep, so I hired a psychiatrist for you." When Gu Linshan saw Di Haotian, he thought of how he tortured Luo Luoli. He couldn't calm down. However, he had to endure it. He even had to find a psychiatrist for Di Haotian to help him sleep. Di Haotian slowly turned his face and looked at the psychiatrist. "Hello, young master. My name is Wang Pingji, and I'm a psychiatrist. I have more than 20 years of experience in psychotherapy. Young master, you just have to cooperate with me. There's no complicated process. To put it simply, you just need to lie on the bed and close your eyes. I'll hypnotize you to achieve the effect of sleep," Wang Pingji said. Di Haotian didn't say anything, indicating that he didn't reject this method. "Young Master Gu, for hypnosis, the room needs to be absolutely quiet," so before Wang Pingji could finish speaking, Gu Linshan turned and left. He wanted to look at someone who made his teeth itch. He was afraid that if he looked at him for a long time, he wouldn't be able to resist fighting with Di Haotian. Di Haotian lay on the bed. As soon as he closed his eyes, his mind was filled with Tang Bao's figure. Her pain, the sadness when she kissed him, the despair when she jumped off the plane. His heart ached. When he lost his memory, as long as it was something that was detrimental to the Tang Bao, he would feel uncomfortable in his heart, but he had never thought about the reason. He could not trust anyone, but why did he have to distrust her and shut her out? The incense was quickly lit. The room was extremely dark, and only the fragrance of the incense was in the air. Wang Pingji sat on the chair beside the bed and began to hypnotize Di Haotian. Gu Linshan was waiting in the lobby downstairs. However, his expression was still not very good, and he was emitting a cold aura. Luo Luoli was imprisoned in the south of the castle, but he could only sit here. How could he be in a good mood? In the distance, "Supervisor, do you think this psychiatrist is useful?" "Young Master D can't even take medicine. Psychological hypnosis? I feel a little worried." Zhang Lu was very doubtful. "I hope it works." Time passed. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. When it was 3 o'clock, Wang Pingji came downstairs. Gu Linshan glanced over indifferently. "What do you think?" "The young master is asleep." No one is to disturb him, even if they make a small noise. Try not to let anyone pass by the door, Wang Pingji said. Gu Linchen looked at the moisture on Wang Pingji's forehead and said, "This is the most difficult patient you've ever hypnotized, right? The young master is more serious. This is a psychological problem. If it's not a psychological problem, there's no need to look for you." Gu Linchen stood up. "Okay, from now on, you'll listen to the castle's orders at all times." "Yes." Gu Linchen turned and left. He walked to the south of the castle and looked up at the window above. It was pitch black inside, and he couldn't see anything. Even if there was light, Di Hao Ian wouldn't let him see Luo Luoli. Gu Linchen recalled that when Di Hao Ian was unconscious in the hospital, Tang Bao had risked his life to climb up from such a high place just to see Di Hao Ian. No matter what Tang Bao did, anything would be like countless needles piercing Di Hao Ian's mind. His heart. However, he didn't expect it to be so serious that he couldn't sleep. This was even more unbelievable than draining the water from the harbor. Was Tang Bao really dead? He died in the harbor without even a corpse? Gu Linchen's expression was slightly dazed, and he couldn't speak with his emotions. Perhaps it was good that they couldn't find the corpse. It would make Di Hao Ian think that Tang Bao was still alive. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to sleep, and he wouldn't even be willing to see a doctor. He would wait for his body to collapse and then die. Luo Luoli didn't expect that she would really be locked up somewhere in the castle. She could run upstairs and downstairs, but she couldn't get out. Someone was watching her from outside. She ate and drank well every day, but she had no freedom. What should she do? She really wanted to get out. "Tang Bao, when are you coming back? If you don't come back, I'll be tortured to death by Di Hao Ian. And her little uncle. What the hell? Didn't I see that you were quite powerful? Why can't you beat Di Hao Ian? Don't tell me you don't want to save me. It's not worth offending Di Hao Ian for me. Bastard, I'm going to divorce you." Luo Luoli ran downstairs. "Brother, can I go out to get some fresh air?" The cold and heartless bodyguard said, "I'm not your brother." Luo Luoli was so angry that she peed her pants. She went back in a huff. He didn't even call her. She was going crazy. Di Hao Ian's hypnosis was quite effective. She slept for 2 hours. Although it wasn't long, it was 4 times longer than half an hour. She could only hope that she would sleep longer next time. However, she realized that Di Hao Ian couldn't sleep on his own unless he hypnotized her. Thus, Wang Pingji became the castle's royal hypnotist. 3 years later. For 3 years, Di Hao Ian never stopped looking for the Tang Bao, including his 2 sons. It was as if he firmly believed that the Tang Bao was alive. He spent a lot of effort searching. During these 3 years, he only stayed in 2 places, tea and the castle. He didn't go anywhere else. He had also become much gloomier and more taciturn. No one beside him dared to say a single word, and they were all very cautious. Because of his insomnia, the dark circles under his eyes never disappeared. Even with the help of a hypnotist, he could only sleep for 2 to 3 hours, and this was 3 days of sleep. Normal people couldn't even sleep for 3 hours a day. Besides the dark circles under his eyes and his gloomy face, there was nothing unusual about Di Hao Ian. He was still the powerful and intimidating king of D City. The rose garden in the castle bloomed all year round. Not a single withered rose appeared. When Di Hao Ian was in the castle, he was either in his room or standing in the rose garden. He always wore the crystal wolf dog accessory on his body. Luo Luoli looked at the tall figure standing by the rose garden from afar. She sat there and sighed. In the past 3 years, she saw Di Hao Ian's infatuation clearly. If it wasn't for the Tang Bao, how could a person's temperament change so much? Chapter 686. However, she still couldn't see Gu Linchen. She was wondering if Gu Linchen had changed after leaving this place. Did he find another woman outside? Luo Luoli thought that if he really found another woman, she would throw the divorce agreement at his face. However, it had already been 3 years. When was Tang Bao going to come back? If he didn't come back for the rest of his life, would she have to stay in the castle until she died of old age? All right, There was no need for a divorce. Luoli stayed in the castle. Di Hao Yin never went to see her or say anything to her. It was as if they had captured her and locked her up in the castle to be used as heir. It was as if this person didn't exist. Luoli would occasionally see Di Hao Yin, but that was when she accidentally discovered the rose garden and saw him. However, she only dared to look from afar. She was afraid that if she appeared in front of Di Hao Yin, he would torture her again. The experience of being drowned in the pool had left her with a lingering fear. She had a shadow in her heart. At this moment, Luoli saw He Ju walking towards Di Hao Yin. Perhaps it was for some reason. He Ju stood behind Di Hao Yin and hesitated for a long time before saying, "Young master, I've said it before. As long as it has a face similar to hers, catch it for me." Di Hao Yin's deep voice was cold and without any warmth. "Young Master Di, there is such a person, but he is a man." He Ju regretted it when he said this. He had been hesitating whether to say it or not. After all, it was too ridiculous. At this moment, after saying it out loud, he felt that it was even more ridiculous. Di Hao Yin turned around and looked at He Ju coldly. There was no emotion on his face. "Where?" He Ju was stunned. Young master didn't even let go of a man's appearance. Boiling City. Boiling City was only a second-tier city. The night was not inferior. The night was pleasant, with fireworks and silver flowers and red lights and green wine. In a bar, in a private room, the female celebrity Cheng Ju was entertaining the famous director Wang Xiaodao. There were also other small celebrities and staff accompanying them. Wang Xiaodao was famous for being lecherous. When Cheng Ju was sitting next to him, his eyes kept glancing at Cheng Ju's chest, and he couldn't help but stretch out his devil's claws. "Ah, you're so annoying. Director Wang, where are you touching?" Cheng Ju endured her disgust and pouted coquettishly to the side. Wang Xiaodao did not restrain himself at all. He continued to laugh and spat out a strong smell of alcohol from his mouth. "Cheng Ju, you don't even know how lucky you are. Do you know how many people want to get the female lead in this movie?" "Of course I know. Director Wang's movies are really tasteful and unique." Cheng Ju smiled. "As long as you enter the female lead of this movie will be given to you." Wang Xiaodao continued to approach Cheng Ju, his whole body sticking to her. The meaning behind his words was obvious. His so-called eye-catching was merely an unspoken rule in a certain aspect. "Director Wang, don't be like this. There are so many people watching." Cheng Ju had to use the people next to him as an excuse. "Then let's find another place?" Wang Xiaodao asked considerately. Cheng Ju had been avoiding Wang Xiaodao's face. Who wants to go somewhere else with him? If it weren't for the fact that she wanted to film this palace drama, she wouldn't have come to drink with him. But that didn't mean she would get a room with him. Her heart was disgusted to death, but she still forced a smile on her face. How could she not offend Wang Xiaodao and still have the opportunity to film this drama? At this moment, the door of the private room opened and an elegant man walked in. His slender figure was wearing a decent suit. Looking at his face again, his fair and tender skin was incomparably handsome. His small mouth had a faint smile and a pair of beautiful red phoenix eyes, but the pupils were light blue. He looked like a mixed blood, but he was as beautiful as a fairy. "Director Wang, your interest is not shallow." The elegant man walked over and sat down on the sofa. He looked at Cheng Ju. "If Director Wang is unhappy, I will hold you responsible." When Wang Xiaodao saw the man sit down, he immediately sat up and became well-behaved. Who didn't know that in the agent's circle, Tango was famous for being ruthless? The two artists in his hands were previously frozen by the company and had no future. They were forcibly made famous by Tango, and they were even popular. However, the strange thing was that a talent like Tango had always been in a branch company. With his ability, it wouldn't be a problem for him to go to the head office. However, no matter what the reason was, to be able to make two trash artists popular, such a person must have some tricks up his sleeve. It was better not to fall out with him on the surface. "Brother Tang, no, Director Wang is very humorous and treats me well," Cheng Ju said with a smile. Tango looked at Wang Xiaodao. "Director Wang, is this true?" If she offends Director Wong, I won't let her off. It's serious. It's serious. I really like Chung-ju. But Tang-gu, I have a good role here for Chung-ju. Why don't I talk to her alone about the script after we finish? How could Tang-gu not know what he was going to do? After all, he had been in the entertainment industry for so long. How could he not know this? That's a good thing. Tang-gu immediately smiled with his eyes as beautiful as peach blossoms, as if he agreed immediately. Chung-ju's smile stiffened. She didn't expect Tang-gu to agree, but this was inevitable. It was difficult to keep one's nose clean in the entertainment industry. Just when everyone thought that Tang-gu agreed, Tang-gu said again, "Screenwriter Sima is very particular about the script. He doesn't allow others to change a word without permission. He is so strict in order to strive for perfection. He even wants to choose the female lead for the audition. If today's script is good, then tomorrow's audition won't be needed, right? Director Wong, what do you think?" With Sima's bad temper, the female lead had to be seen by him personally before it could be finalized. However, it had to be said that none of the scripts that went through his hands were not popular. Therefore, the director couldn't play any role in the screenwriter and had to look at Sima's face. Tang Ji's words made Wang Xiaodao a little afraid. Of course, he was afraid of Sima. However, if he couldn't achieve his goal, Wang Xiaodao was also a very vengeful person. He didn't believe that with him in the way, Chung-ju would still be able to go to the audition. Of course, such words couldn't be said on the surface. He could only say, "Yes, yes. After the audition, we'll talk about it in detail." Chung-ju left with Tang-gu and got into the car parked outside. Chung-ju noticed that Tang Ji's expression wasn't very good and was a little flustered. "Brother Tang, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have come here, but I also want to fight for myself." "You mean I don't have the ability?" Tang Ji's beautiful eyes were slightly raised, carrying a supreme temptation. It made Chung-ju's attention waver. "No, I definitely don't mean that. If it weren't for you, I would still be that outdated female star that no one remembers. My father's illness also doesn't have the money to treat. I just want to share some of your burden." Chapter 687. Of course, Tang-gu knew Chung-ju's good intentions, but she didn't want such good intentions. Chung-ju didn't like this method. Besides, she believed in Chung-ju's acting skills and didn't need to rely on such methods. She wanted to nurture people not only for acting skills, but also for their character. This was the only way to go further on the path of acting. "Brother Tang, is what you said just now true?" Chung-ju remembered what Tang-gu said to Wang Xiaodao in the private room. "He doesn't make the decision for this film. Of course, Sima He's book is the best-selling book in the world. He has some ability, but his character is really not good. As long as you pass Sima, you don't have to care about Wang Xiaodao. However, if you join his crew in the future, you have to be more careful." Chung-ju was confused. "Brother Tang, you mean I will join his crew? That palace drama?" "Sima, he likes people with acting skills, and he likes people who are fated with the female lead. That's why he has an open competition. I believe in your acting skills. Think about the role in the next 2 days. Don't let me down." "Yes, Brother Tang, don't worry. I won't let you down." Chung-ju looked out of the window. "Brother Tang, can you stop the car?" After the car stopped, Chung-ju got out. Tang-gu looked at where the car was parked and smiled. Chung-ju took the honey cake she bought and handed it to Tang-gu. "Here, I bought it for the babies. My son doesn't like sweets. Xiao Bao likes it. When I bring it back, I'll say I bought it. Otherwise, I'll kiss you." Tang-gu smiled. "Okay then, but I'll say I bought all the food you brought back for me in the past." "Are you serious?" Although Tang Ji's apartment wasn't very luxurious, it was very private. Reporters couldn't sneak in at all. The property management didn't spend so much money every year for nothing. Entering the door, the lights were on. The small figure in black pajamas walked out of the room and gently closed the door. He turned around. His small face was well sculpted, and he looked like a little boy. Although he was still young, his eyebrows were already formed and dyed with a layer of ink. His nose was straight, and his small mouth was thin. His eyes, in particular, carried the steadiness of a little adult. Every time Tengu saw it, he was always in a daze. Daddy, you're back. Tang Erbao's eyes lit up when he saw Tengu. Tengu came back to himself and patted his head lovingly. Is my sister asleep? Tang Erbao was about to say something when the door opened and a small figure in cute pajamas ran out like the wind. Daddy, I didn't sleep. I've been waiting for you. She hugged Tang Ji's leg and acted like a spoiled child. The corners of Erbao's mouth twitched slightly as if he was helpless against Xiao Bao's pretense. Are you waiting for me or for food? Xiao Bao's big eyes sparkled, and his pink little face was extremely cute. He quickly expressed his loyalty and said, Wait for Daddy. I'll wait for the food while I'm there. How could Tengu not know that she was greedy? Brush your teeth after eating, Tengu requested with a smile. Okay. Tang Xiaobao ate the cake, his two short legs dangling in the air. Tang Erbao didn't eat, silently watching his sister eat by the side with adoration. Ever since he could walk and choose his own food, he didn't like to eat snacks or desserts. The 3-year-old child's self-control was so good that Tengu felt that he was completely different from him. Therefore, Tengu could buy desserts for Xiaobao every time, but Tang Erbao was a little guy who couldn't be satisfied. Daddy, I've finished reading Journey to the West. Can you buy me something else to read? Tang Erbao suddenly asked as he watched Xiao Bao eat the cake. This wasn't like him at all. He felt that this child was a genius. At the age of 3, he could read all the words in the 4 great classical novels. He would only ask him if he couldn't understand them. Therefore, Tengu went to the bookstore or online to buy him more profound books that only adults would read. Otherwise, he couldn't satisfy him. Okay, I'll buy it for you tomorrow. Okay. Xiao Bao heard their conversation and raised her small face covered in cake. Her small round face was full, but she didn't forget to say, Daddy, you can't buy me books to read. Why? Because I was Daddy's little lover in my previous life. Daddy just needs to buy me food. Tengu was amused by her childish voice and said, Where did you find out about it? Erbao, did you teach her? He asked his son. A parent-child program on TV. Erbao took the napkin next to him and wiped the cake on her face. Tengu remembered that there was a parent-child program recently. Daddy, let's travel together. It was very popular. There were fathers bringing their daughters, and there were also fathers bringing their sons. The most popular was a father and daughter pair. They doted on each other endlessly. The daughter was the father's lover in his previous life. She had learned something from him. Daddy, I have another request. Xiao Bao continued to pout. Just say it. I want to change my name. I don't like my name very much. Tengu looked at Erbao and asked, What does she want to change? Tong Halu. Tengu froze for a moment, then laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. There were bunk beds in the room. Erbao slept on the top bunk, and Xiao Bao slept on the bottom bunk. Both children closed their eyes and fell asleep. Xiao Bao held a doll in her arms. She was cute and lovely. Her eyelashes were long and dense, pink and soft. Standing up, Tang Ji's gaze fell on the sleeping Erbao's face. The way they slept and their expressions were so similar. Tang Gu returned to her room and went into the bathroom. Standing in front of the mirror, she looked at herself. She washed her face with facial cleanser. The masculine eyebrows were washed away, and the parts of her face that she had specially touched up were also washed away. When she raised her head again, her face had become a girl's gentle beauty. Her beauty was unparalleled. Then she took off her clothes, revealing her fair and tender skin. A white cloth was wrapped around her chest. After it was untied, her feminine features were revealed. Tengu, also known as Tang Bao. 3 years ago, she jumped from a plane and fell into the harbor. She didn't know if the impact was too great, but the time bomb on her body detached from her body. After discovering that the bomb didn't explode, Tang Bao quickly swam away. Not long after she swam out, the bomb exploded. The entire harbor shook, and she was knocked out by the water. When she woke up, she was rescued by people near the harbor. She didn't die. When she heard that the plane had crashed at the harbor, she went to the hospital. The news was that Di Hao Ian was fine, but he was in a coma. She wanted to find Di Hao Ian. But in the end, she turned and left with the two children. Chapter 688. It was already good enough that she could protect the children from harm. She didn't know what would happen if she continued to stay by Di Hao Yian's side. That divorce agreement, even if she didn't sign it, after 3 years, Di Hao Yian could still get a divorce if he wanted to. In 3 years, Di Hao Yian would have already married Lan Wanru, right? There didn't seem to be anything to doubt. Would he be angry at the mere fact that she had taken away his child? Tang Bao remembered that she told Di Hao Yian on the plane that she had 2 sons. She had always thought so too. After taking the children away, she realized that it wasn't 2 sons, but a son and a daughter. Tang Bao had already been swapped at first. Later, she thought that the first thing she saw when she opened her eyes was the 2 cute little faces, so there was no swapping. Then there was only one possibility. The Dr. Di Junbai hired made a mistake. During the confinement period, she didn't change the children's diapers or anything, so she didn't notice the problem. There probably wasn't a mother as careless as her. Escaping from Di Hao Yian was very difficult. In order not to let the previous incident affect her or the children be taken away, she simply changed her appearance and pretended to be a man. Moreover, she told Di Hao Yian that she had 2 sons, so it was easier for her to hide her identity. Since she took the children away, she would naturally raise them well. Therefore, she had to work hard to make money. In the past, she wasn't interested in making money, mainly because she hadn't found her talent. Now, she felt that making money was very interesting. She could find the value of her life. In the morning, 1 adult and 2 children had breakfast at the table. It was Tang Bao's own fried eggs, milk, and sandwiches. Now, her cooking skills had improved. Just as she gave the 2 children milk, her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. It was a call from a boss. Tang Bao sat down and picked up the phone. Boss Liang. Tangge, I heard that you're going to let Cheng Ju audition for Wang Xiaodao's recent movie. Can she do it? You never played a leading role before. Don't worry, Mr. Liang. Cheng Ju's acting skills are flawless. Other than her, no one else is more suitable, Tang Bao said. Bao poured milk into the empty glass in front of her. All right, come over for a meeting this afternoon. A last-minute meeting? That's right. Since Cheng Ju wants to act, he should discuss it with the head office. Director Liang, Cheng Ju is an artist under me. There's no need to discuss this matter, right? Isn't it enough to make money for the company? I know, but what if there's someone more suitable? It's settled then. After hanging up the phone, Tang Bao's expression did not look too good. However, thinking that the 2 children were still present, Tang Bao smiled at them and asked, "Why aren't you eating? Let's eat." Daddy, is it very troublesome? Bao asked. No, it's just a matter of work. Just solve it. Daddy will go to work later. You have to be good, especially Xiao Bao. You have to listen to your brother. I will. Tang Bao only left after the servant arrived. Bao sat on the sofa with a book in his hand. His little face was a little lost in thought. Xiao Bao ran over and asked, "Brother, what's wrong?" Daddy is working very hard. Is Daddy being bullied? Xiao Bao asked. Shall we follow Daddy to teach the person who bullied Daddy a lesson? This sentence was very sociable. Bao glanced at her and asked, You know how to teach them a lesson? Brother will teach them a lesson. Xiao Bao's little eyes were filled with admiration. Bao did not want to talk about this topic with her. He flipped through the book in his hand and asked, Do you still remember what I taught you last time? Yes. I'm your brother, you're my sister, and Daddy is my daughter. Isn't that right? Xiao Bao's expression said, Praise me. Bao looked at her silently. When would this relationship be clarified? Was it very difficult? Why didn't he think so? Tang Bao went to the head office in the afternoon. All the people in the conference room were present. Tang Bao's elegant figure appeared in the conference room, glanced at the leaders, and then looked at Liang Yuanchao, who was sitting at the top. I'm sorry, I'm late. Even if it's unintentional, I'm afraid it's intentional. Sitting next to Liang Yuanchao is Cheng Yuexin, the top manager in the head office, who has something to say. Vice President Cheng, of course, it's unintentional. Did I mean to be late and then be ridiculed by you? Am I ridiculing you? I'm telling the truth. Who doesn't know that you are the most valuable manager of Lingqi Company now? The money you earn is almost catching up with the head office. Mr. Liang is still praising you this morning. Cheng Yuexin said so, but his inner face could be imagined. Her eyes drifted to Tang Bao intentionally or unintentionally, and she wished she could get into her suit directly. From the first day that Tang Bao came to the company, she took a fancy to this little white face. Unfortunately, he was so ignorant that he refused her kindness. She wanted him to beg himself, kneel down, and lick himself. Tang Bao looks at Liang Yuanchao, sitting on the top. Mr. Liang, the content of today's meeting is... Cheng Yuexin's face suddenly became ugly and distorted when he chose to ignore her. Liang Yuanchao has a peaceful smile on his face, as if it's not a meeting, but a chat with everyone. He doesn't offend anyone at all. I'm mainly talking about the audition for concubine spin this time. I've thought about it. Although Cheng Ju is considered a veteran, she has always acted as the second female lead, or even the third or fourth female lead. So, I think it's better for Yao Yao to audition. Tango, what do you think? Tang Bao is silent. Yao Yao is an artist in Cheng Yuexin's hands. She has a good hand of information, but her acting skills have been questioned and criticized by netizens. If she is really allowed to audition, then, with Simica's craftiness, she will definitely be eliminated. Other leaders also chimed in. That's right. After all, Yao Yao is the first-tier actress of the company. Her chances are definitely better than Cheng Ju. Tang Ge, you can't lose this good resource because of favoritism. Yes, your efforts are in everyone's eyes, but you should also take the overall situation into consideration. Tang Bao doesn't speak. Why? Tang Ge, are you going against Mr. Liang? Cheng Yuexin asked. Tang Bao's mouth raised a smile, with a little elegant and fearless charm, but made Cheng Yuexin's body hot. I can't wait to throw myself on this little white face and let her ravage it. Chapter 689. It's really exciting to fight for it among our own people. It's not because of the abnormal relationship between Cheng Yuexin and Liang Yanchao. If two people are together, it will cost. Cheng Yuexin wants to say something else, but is interrupted by Tang Bao's very politely. Is manager Cheng worried that his artist will lose to Qingju? How could it be? One is the protagonist in every film. The other is the supporting role in every film. Is the protagonist afraid of her? Cheng Yuexin's face turned ugly. Of course not. Since Vice President Cheng has agreed, Mr. Liang, let's make a decision. Cheng Yuexin was stunned. When did she agree? She didn't agree, but since she said she was not afraid of losing, she agreed with Tang Bao's suggestion. Otherwise, she was afraid of losing. In front of so many leaders, how shameful. Liang Yanchao looks at Cheng Yuexin. As the boss, he can't be too obvious at the meeting. Besides, 2 is better than 1, isn't it? The odds will be greater. It seems that no matter what, he will not suffer. The old fox Liang Yanchao said. Then according to Tang Ji's idea, both of them will go to the audition. Thank you, Mr. Liang. Tang Bao smiles steadily. After the meeting, Cheng Yuexin stops Tang Ge, who is going to leave. Would you like to sit in my office? Tang Bao hesitated. Why? Work is work. Don't be so serious in private, right? You know, I really appreciate your performance at work. Appreciate or make trouble. Tang Bao thought silently. We can talk about the audition. Can Tang Bao not go? If she doesn't go, she will provoke Cheng Yuexin. At that time, Cheng Yuexin will report to Liang Yanchao and trip her up. It's really troublesome. So, she went to Cheng Yuexin's office. After entering, the office door closed. After Tang Bao sat down, Cheng Yuexin asked, "What would you like to drink? Coffee, juice, tea?" "No, let's talk about the audition first." Tang Bao hasn't finished. Cheng Yuexin put on a charming face and said, "Why are you in such a hurry to talk about work? It's not like we're in a hurry." As he said that, he twisted his body and sat next to Tang Bao, leaning very close to him. Flirtatious glances were transmitted to him from time to time. Tang Bao's body stiffened. This person hasn't given up, has he? When she first came to Glory, she didn't know what was wrong with Cheng Yuexin. She even took a fancy to her. Tang Bao admits that his appearance as a man is not inferior to the current fresh meat, or even better. But how can he get into Cheng Yuexin's eyes? And because of her rejection, he kept finding trouble for her. Tang Bao's body suddenly tightened, because Cheng Yuexin stuck up and made attractive movements. Tangu, look, if you want the company's resources as long as I say the word, no one will dare to give you a hard time. You seem to be the only one who's making things difficult for me. As for the audition, I can ask Yao Yao to take it down. If you want Xingju to take the role, I will support it. As long as you follow me, I promise you that you can get what you want. Is my success related to you? Do you know how much I like you? I've never met a man who likes you as much as I do. The first time I saw you, I felt wrong all over. Seeing your eyes and behavior, I'm the one who feels wrong all over. Seeing that Cheng Yuexin's hand was getting more and more excessive, Tang Bao immediately stood up. Being touched by a woman, he really didn't know what incense he had burned in his last life. Goosebumps were all over the ground. Seeing Tang Bao's refusal, Cheng Yuexin, who was smiling just now, changed into a vicious smile. Tangu, I advise you not to be ignorant. No one will accept repeated rejections. Manager Cheng, I'm not interested in you. You have so many male artists under you. Can't they satisfy you? Cheng Yuexin smiled, and his body was attached to Tang Bao again. His fingers seemed to be scratching on Tang Bao's face. Even if they all add up, they are not as charming as you. To be honest, Tangu, your skin is so good, better than a woman's. It makes me want to ravage you. Tang Bao's face was slid by her like that, and he was a little red. The key was not here, but her actions were frivolous and disgusting. This time, she pushed her away rudely. She pushed Cheng Yuexin back a step, and her eyes were full of hatred. You really don't know what's good for you. Then give your good to others. I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. Tang Bao patted the non-existent dust on his body and said, As for the audition, let's rely on our own abilities. With that, he turned around and left. She didn't look at Cheng Yuexin anymore. Cheng Yuexin was so angry that she smashed the glass on the table. There is no man she can't get. She doesn't believe that she can't get him. Clench her fist. On the day of the audition, many famous female stars came. They all stroked their hair and coquettishly, as if they could be on camera with a little coquettish. Tang Bao and Cheng Ju had been waiting there for a long time. Tang Bao looked around and felt like he was going to enrich the emperor's harem. Isn't that Cheng Ju? No way. She came to the audition? She hasn't played the lead role, has she? I heard that her manager is a novice, even newer than Cheng Ju. The ignorant are fearless. Why come here to lose face? Really, he doesn't think that his little white face can make Sima treat him differently, does he? Even if Sima he liked men, not everyone could catch his eye. Ha! The constant snickering seemed to float over. Cheng Ju didn't have any objections, but she actually brought the topic to Tangu and said such insulting words. She was so angry that her face was very bad. Don't worry about it, Tang Bao said lightly. It was as if those bitter words had nothing to do with her. At this time, a fashionable, exquisite, and beautiful woman came in from the entrance. It was Yao Yao of Glory, next to Cheng Yuexin. When Yao Yao saw Tang Bao and Cheng Ju, she came over with a smile. Cheng Ju, I haven't seen you for a long time. I haven't seen you since you were frozen. As soon as it was frozen, the other stars present began to whisper at once. Cheng Ju learned from Tang Bao to keep calm. Yes, I didn't expect that I, who had been frozen for so many years, would have the opportunity to audition with you. It's really my honor. I didn't expect that Cheng Ju would become sharp-tongued since she had a manager. Cheng Ju looked at Tang Bao and found that Tang Bao was looking at the distance, letting her play. So she continued, I don't like sharp-tongued. Compared with you, senior, I'm nothing. Chapter 690. Cheng Yuexin looked at Tang Bao, who didn't say a word from beginning to end. He leaned over and said, Tang Ge, you can still admit defeat now. Don't lose too badly, and you can't get off the stage. It doesn't matter. There are always wins and losses in life. Plus, Chengju and Yao Yao are both from glory. Whoever catches the eye of scriptwriter Sima is good for the company. Tang Bao spoke with a cold attitude, as if he didn't want to compete with the world. Cheng Yuexin just doesn't like Tang Ji's attitude. He is very calm, but he is a very resourceful person. Does he have any trump cards? Cheng Yuexin has inquired about this role. Yao Yao is now the most popular star. As long as she plays the role, the ratings are very good. Therefore, she thought that although Sima was interested in the role, he would not be so stupid as to not earn money. In a twinkling of an eye, Cheng Yuexin smiled and suddenly raised his hand and clapped. Everyone, I suddenly have a very fun game. I want to play with manager Tang Ge. I don't know if you're interested in participating in it. And it's really a woman who has a lot of problems. Other female stars are very interested. I want to make a bet with Tang Ge. I want to take part in the audition and see who wins and loses. Tang Ge, I don't know if you would like to bet. Tang Bao thought, is this forcing her to fight? If she doesn't take it, Cheng Yuexin will only become more and more arrogant in the circle of managers. It seems that she can only take it. Yes. When Cheng Yuexin saw that she was fooled, she snickered and said, if you lose, you kiss a man in front of so many people. If you win, I kiss a woman. Is it fair? Tang Bao wanted to vomit. Can't you think of something else? Ah, two men kissing is definitely more exciting than two women kissing. I want to see two men kissing. A Fujoshi said excitedly. But I heard that Tang Ge is a big straight man. Won't he vomit when he kisses a man? If he likes it, will he still use this to deal with him? That's what I want. Isn't manager Cheng looking for a woman to kiss? Oh my God, don't look for me. Cheng Yuexin hears the last sentence and turns her eyes coldly. She won't lose, so she won't kiss these idiots. Tang Bao's eyelids lifted lazily, and his blue eyes were cold. He looked at Cheng Yuexin and said, I accept, but if I win, you don't need to kiss a woman, just kneel down to me. What do you say? Cheng Yuexin's face changes. If I lose, you'll deal with me. Then, if you lose, I'll have the final say. This is what's called fairness. She was afraid that she would go blind and vomit until her stomach perforated. Well, that's it. Cheng Yuexin thinks he won't lose. Then let Tang Ge be disgusted. Only in this way would he understand how enchanting this woman's gentleness was. Oh my God, I can't wait. Who do you think will win? Isn't that obvious? It's definitely Yao Yao. She's the most popular actress. I'm on manager Cheng's side too. Me too. When Cheng Yuexin heard those words, he was even more sure. Chengju was upset and looked at Tang Bao worriedly. Brother Tang, why didn't you let me gamble with Cheng Yuexin just now? So for you, will you lose? Tang Bao asked. Chengju was stunned, and then his face was right. Don't worry, Brother Tang. I will do my best, and I will never lose. I have confidence in myself, too. Just play well. Yes. At this time, someone came in. It was Sima, Wang Xiaodao, and other entourage. Sima is in his 40s. He is well-maintained. His face is not very kind. He wears glasses and glances at the stars present. After sitting down, he said, today's audition is very simple. The heroine is framed for having an affair with the bodyguard. She kneels on the ground and explains to the emperor. The dialogue is on the big screen. There are only a few lines of dialogue, and other scenes are arranged in their minds. As for the bodyguard, you can choose for yourself. Managers and assistants can participate. It's mainly about the protagonist. The dialogue on the big screen is the emperor, the heroine, and the bodyguard only has one line. The emperor is played by Feng Yu, the male star who came with Sima. Many people are saying that Feng Yu is the male lead candidate that Sima likes. There are also rumors that Feng Yu and Sima have an affair. However, that handsome appearance with a touch of elegance and a unique charm will attract men. After the auditions one by one, Tang Bao noticed that Sima's face was obviously impatient, indicating that he was very dissatisfied with the audition results. Next is Yao Yao, and the bodyguard is played by Cheng Yuexin. As soon as Yao Yao enters the camera, It has to be said that she looks very good on camera, and her eyes turn quickly. Her eyes immediately filled with pain as she complained tearfully to Emperor Fengyu, "Your Majesty, this concubine has been wrongly accused. I didn't have an affair with the guard. Someone wanted to frame me. I only have your Majesty in my heart. Do you still remember what you said to me that year? You were willing to have one person and never leave each other. Now, am I still your one person?" The bodyguard immediately kneels on one knee in front of the emperor. "Your Majesty, please investigate clearly. Don't wrongly accuse Gue Feinyang. Adulterers, there is no need to quibble. Take them out and behead them. Your Majesty, I can die, but please give me a chance to prove my innocence." "What chance?" Yao Yao's eyes changed again. She looked at the emperor with pain and reluctance, then turned around and hit the wall. After a scream, she fainted. After the performance, Yao Yao got up from the ground and smiled confidently at the people around her. Tang Bao can't help but raise his eyebrows. Why does he feel that Yao Yao's acting is better in reality than on TV? Wow, it's a good performance. The female star next to him can't help but say, "Yes, screenwriter Sima looked impatient just now." After Yao Yao started acting, his face improved. Does that mean that Cheng Ju is going to lose? Everyone looks in the direction of Tang Bao. Tang Bao and Cheng Ju are both calm and unhurried. This is stressful for Cheng Ju. The people in front of her all have their own insights. Not only can Cheng Ju not imitate them, but she also has to perform in her own unique way. Is there a problem? Tang Bao asked Cheng Ju next to him. Cheng Ju looks at the big screen and steadies her emotions. "Don't worry, Brother Tang." Just as Cheng Ju and Tang Bao stepped forward and were about to start the performance, there is a commotion at the door. Someone immediately whispered something in Sima He's ear. Sima He, who has always been arrogant, immediately changed his expression. He hurriedly stood up and walked towards the door. Tang Bao thought to himself, what kind of important person came and needed Sima He to act like this? Chapter 691. When that tall figure fell into his eyes, Tang Bao's blood seemed to have frozen and stopped flowing. His face was slightly pale, his lips trembled, and his entire body stiffened. Separated by distance and a human head, that long-lost, chiseled face appeared in front of him, cold and noble. His inviolable aura enveloped him, invaded the air, and suppressed his heart. Why is he here? Brother Tang, what's wrong? Cheng Ju noticed that something was wrong with Tang Bao and asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" "No." Tang Bao retracted his gaze and lowered it slightly, trying to make himself look calm. She was as calm and composed as Di Hao Yin had never been before. He was not affected by anyone. It seemed that Di Hao Yin's appearance not only affected Tang Bao's state of mind, but also the people present were in an uproar. Wasn't that so? All the people who came here for the audition were women. A man like Di Hao Yin, who had the status and temperament of all the male celebrities and models combined, could not be compared to him. They could not wait to flock to him. Which celebrity is this? He's so handsome. I've never seen such a handsome man before. He's so tall, too. I thought Fengyu was quite handsome just now, but when this man appeared, he paled in comparison. His temperament and aura are on a completely different level. Even Sima, he has to follow him around. Could he be some top investor? It's very possible. Di Hao Qian glanced at the audition area, and Sima, he immediately said, "The audition is in progress. It's already the last wave. The role above is the emperor, and below is the female lead, the imperial concubine, and the imperial bodyguards." Di Hao Yin walked over and glanced at Fengyu, who was standing next to the emperor's seat. His voice was faint but powerful. "Why don't I play the role of the emperor?" Tang Bao also looked at Di Hao Yin in surprise as the voices rose and fell one after another. But he met Di Hao Yin's eyes, which were as deep as a black pool, sharp and quiet. Tang Bao's heart skipped a beat. He pretended that nothing had happened and turned his face away. What did Di Hao Yin mean by this? He wanted to act as the emperor? Since when did he have this hobby? Could it be that he recognized her? No, she had disguised herself as a man for 3 years, and no one had discovered that she was a woman. Her voice was naturally lowered, so her male disguise was very successful. Di Hao Yin could not have recognized her. His appearance here must mean that he had invested in this television series. If Di Hao Yin said that he wanted to act, no one would dare to object. Simak and Di Hao Yin did not have that kind of relationship. It was just that from the inside information, she knew that the Emperor family had bought the rights to this show and invested in it. They were the sole investor. As such, even if he had the temperament and nobility of an artist, he still had to lower his head. That was because it was said that this person was terrifyingly ruthless. When their eyes met, even as a scriptwriter, he couldn't use words to describe the intimidating and dangerous aura. He had never seen anyone with such terrifying eyes in real life, and it was just a faint glance. Di Hao Yin walked over and sat down on the seat. He crossed his long legs and leaned his body lazily. He looked down and said in an indifferent voice, "Begin." For a moment, Chengju really thought that the person sitting on the seat was the emperor. Although the emperor did not cross his legs, his aura was definitely majestic. This aura could not be acted out. It was innate. "Don't be affected," Tang Bao reminded her in a low voice. Chengju came back to her senses. Her face flashed with an apologetic expression. She began to prepare her emotions, thinking about the dialogue on the big screen and the scenes in her mind. For a moment, her expression was sorrowful. Although it was not as forceful as Yao Yao's, it gave people a feeling of extreme sorrow and extreme love. Tears welled up in her eyes, but they did not fall. She looked at the emperor affectionately and fearfully. "Your Majesty, this concubine was wronged. I did not have an affair with the guards. Someone wanted to frame me. I only have your Majesty in my heart. Do you still remember what you said to me that year? You were willing to have someone of your heart and never leave each other. Now, am I still the one of your heart?" When Yao Yao recited this line, it was more like a technique. Her voice was a little hysterical. And now, when Chengju finished her last sentence, her tears fell just right. She acted out her grievances in love very well. Sima he could not help but watch attentively. At this time, it was the turn of the guard next to him, Tang Bao. The guard immediately knelt on one knee in front of the emperor and lowered his head. "Your Majesty, please investigate clearly. Don't wrongly accuse the imperial concubine." After saying this sentence, they did not wait for the emperor to say his lines. Instead, they waited for the emperor to leave his seat and walk down. His elegant and steady steps brought with it a majestic and intimidating aura as he approached them. His aura had even spread to the surroundings, affecting everyone present. They all held their breaths as they watched this shocking audition. Tang Bao thought in his heart, "What's wrong with this person? Recite your lines. This is not his home ground. What is he trying to do?" He hoped that Chengju had the ability to adapt, but Tang Bao could only lower his head. When his lowered gaze invaded a pair of high-end black leather shoes, every nerve in Tang Bao's body was suddenly pulled taut. There was panic on his face. Why is he walking in front of me? What is he trying to do? He couldn't have recognized him, could he? Or is this just an unintentional walk? Just as Tang Bao was feeling uneasy, he heard words that seemed to come crashing down on his head. "Take her out and behead her." The previous lines were directly omitted. This sentence was not heavy, but was full of majesty. Sima he did not like it when others changed his lines. If it was changed, he would go crazy. But Di Hao Yin changed it. No one should go crazy in front of him. "Your Majesty, I can die, but please give me a chance to prove my innocence." Fortunately, Chengju did not panic. Her emotions were still there. What chance? Chengju turned her face to the side, which was the wall in her mind. In her eyes, it seemed that there was a solid wall, a wall that would make her lose her life. Panic, desolation, pain, unwillingness. Then she stood up, rushed over, and hit it hard, fell to the ground. After that, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The play just now made people feel immersive, and Sima He's face showed a satisfied smile. This is better than Yao Yao's. That's right, especially the Emperor. His aura is so strong. I think he plays the best. Are you sure he's acting? That terrible aura was there when he entered the door. It's his own. I really want to know him. In the infatuation, Cheng Yuexin and Yao Yao, who heard the conversation not far away, were white with anger. However, looking at Cheng Yuexin's eyes, they were afraid that she would not give up until the end. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.